You think it's live?
I think so. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, this is Saturday, April 11th. There are 101 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2020. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con Unofficial Blog.
VANUHTEE go.
Oh my god, I love Live Journal, and my Live Journal loves me. Current mood is hyperactive, current music, Refuse 73. I love the color scheme in pink and purple.
Well, we're a little late, but good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us for real this time.
And joining us for the first hour is Robert Warners of Legion of Sand.
Hey, everyone.
All right, so as you may know, this is a very special podcast. We're going to be live for the next 3-ish hours for our WonderCon online special telethon event. We're going to have some special guests, rotating co-hosts, and some special giveaways. We'll take your comments and questions during the show. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con. If you want us to see it, because we're getting a lot of replies today, then use the hashtag SDConCast. And we will also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment there. Well, so first up, to get this started, before we bring on some guests, why are we doing this, Carrie?
Okay, so the reasons we're doing this is twofold. Number one is we wanted to give you guys, the attendees, something fun to do today. We planned this weeks ago, and we were like, what is something that we could do for you guys that's interactive? And we're not just doing this. Hopefully you've already taken part in our fun little online scavenger hunt. But the other part of that is we want to promote small artists and vendors. Like, yes, as sad as it is that WonderCon is not happening this weekend, it is so much worse news for small vendors because they make so much of their money at these conventions and they have bills that they need to pay. So we wanted to use this as an opportunity to spotlight a lot of our artist friends, artists that we really like. And we're also having on some other folks like Gary Marinu, who does all the PR for Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, which does the big WB animated movie every year at WonderCon. So we just want to use this to spotlight all of that. There's a whole bunch of awesome ways to support artists right now. We've been tweeting links for weeks, but right now you can go and just search hashtag WonderCon online. You can go and use the list on either our site or CCI's list that has links to vendor websites. There's all kinds of awesome ways that you can go and shop, basically virtually what would have been the show floor.
Well, there you go. And also, I think the one of the other good reasons is why not? I mean, we're sitting at home. What else are we going to do on a weekend where we should have been walking around the Anaheim Convention Center? So Robert is here for the first hour. We'll be joined by Aaron Tapkin for the second hour. And the third hour will be Kim Twomley from Outside Comic-Con. Let's see. So we have a few minutes. So what are we going to give away a prize?
We are. Okay, so we've been talking about this for a while. We really want one of you to do this. So if you know the theme song to this podcast, you don't have to know the whole thing, like just some of it, and you are willing to sing it live on this thing, send me an email to sdcomic.con@gmail.com. And if you're willing to do that, you will win Patrick Ballestero's awesome little mini original that we tweeted yesterday and his Stand By Me print. So if you're willing to do that, email us. Again, that's
sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com.
Yeah, I think I said the name wrong.
There's also I think there's a contact us on the website if you want to go there. Yeah. So
sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. But send us an email like right now.
And we will send you the Zoom link to come on and join us and sing the theme song.
Yes.
Do you guys have the theme song memorized? Because you probably heard it more than anyone else.
I am. No.
I'm fairly certain I could at least sing the first part of it.
Okay, fair enough.
I know like one line.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see who comes on and does this.
Yeah. Hey, well, while you're you're unmuted, Robert. How have you been handling the stay at home? I think you're working from home, right?
Yeah, I've been at home for about a month now, and it's been fine. I'm starting to get to that point where like I kind of miss going into the office now. You know, I want to see people's faces daily, but yeah, no, I it's still been good. So honestly, no complaints, and I'm pretty fortunate that I can work from home.
Very cool. I'm still going into work. I'm in an essential industry, even in, I mean, you know, for anyone who doesn't know, none of us actually really work in the pop culture industry. So I work in the commercial tire industry, and we are necessary because we provide tires and service for things like UPS and Ryder and Amazon. So we're kind of an essential industry these days. Carrie, how are you doing? I know you've been working from home for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I've been working from home since late 2018. So truthfully, like my daily life has not actually changed that much, which has been nice. Honestly, I feel like I had a slight advantage in that regard. But things are good. Things are good.
Very good. Well, let's talk about who else we're going to be joined by. A list of guests. We have 8 guests, right?
I think so, yes. We have in order Jen Bartel, who did the awesome WonderCon program cover that I hope we get to see in person at some point with the Wonder Woman. We have Gary Marinu, who, as I mentioned, he does the PR for Warner Brothers Home Entertainment, as well as a whole lot of other groups. Monkey Minion Press, who they do some fantastic art. Brianna Cherry Garcia, she's an artist that we really like. The California Browncoats, which she used to be part of. They are raising some money for the Alzheimer's Association. Chris Uminga, who does some great art. Toddland is going to come on, and we're going to give another prize away while Toddland's on. And then finally, it's going to be our buddy Sean Marshall of Parks and Cons.
Full show. So everyone's going to get 15, 20 minutes or so. We're going to basically just ask them some questions. We're going to basically treat this as if it was a panel room for the day and just have rotating people coming through. We're not going to kick any of you out. We don't clear the room between panels, except for our co-hosts. We have to get some of our moderators out every hour. Other than that, we hope that you are checking out the WonderCon online hashtag if you are in the position to where you can purchase some art or some vendors' products. There are a ton of vendors whose income relies, as Carrie mentioned, relies on these conventions, and just, throw $10, $15 someone's way. It's a very long list. You can pick one at random, and you'll probably find something that you enjoy. Yes. Other than that, let's all just appreciate the fact that we can sit down and do this and still come together as a community and enjoy the nerdy things that we all enjoy, and go from there. And so as we go forward, does anyone else have anything they want to say before we start getting ready for our first guest?
The one thing I tried to replicate with this whole process was the food trucks, but it's a little bit harder to give a virtual experience for a food truck, but I will sure miss them.
Yeah, food trucks are a little iffy right now.
Food trucks are definitely a little iffy, yeah.
I got to say, man, it's weird going outside when, there's no traffic, when, my drive is almost a third the amount of time as it normally is. Everyone at work is, staying far away, trying not to interact too often. One of the guys in his office puts a chair in front of his door, and he's like, drop everything you need me to look at on that chair, and then I'll come get it. So it's just a weird, interesting world we're living in right now that changed so fast. I mean, a month ago, it's just crazy how fast it changed.
It really is. So we've got somebody who wants to come on to sing the theme song. We're just waiting for Alice to pop up. But shortly after she does, we should have Jen Bartel on. And again, if you're looking for some cool stuff to do today, we did put together a fun little scavenger hunt. And while you are exploring that, you might find some stuff you want to buy.
There you go. Also, just if you just saw recently, WonderCon. Oh, we're ready?
Yep, I think so.
Ready. I see Ashley. Let's just promote her to a panelist so she comes on. All right, so she's got her video ready and audio. We're ready for you, Ashley.
It's your time to shine.
I go by the nickname of Alice.
Alice, okay.
So that's why. But so I don't know all of it, but I'm going to do my best of the parts I know.
Do it.
Go for it.
Oh my God, I love LiveJournal, and my LiveJournal loves me. Da, 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 da. I don't remember the rest, but that's like all I always get because the rest kind of gets like all mixed up together, and I'm just like, I just love it.
Nope, you know what? That absolutely counts. So
Because half of this prize was half of this prize was being willing to come on here and even attempt it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just like, oh my God, I want that mini so much. Like, I love it.
Well, it's going to be yours. So I'll reply. If you'll just reply back to that email to me with your address, we'll get it sent over to you, okay?
I will. Thank you so much. I love you guys so much.
Thank you. And thank you for coming on and doing that.
No
yes,
problem.
thank you. That was awesome.
Bye.
Nice.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
You did great, Alice. You did great.
And I had a pretty cool Marvel chair as well.
That's right.
She did.
And that, I mean, now you know why she wants that mini.
Yeah.
All right. So now we are just going to be waiting for Jen to come on in about 5 minutes or so. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Oh, we were going to talk about WonderCon. Comic-Con International released the WonderCon merchandise just a few minutes ago. So that is up. If you want to go look on the site.
Yes. Unfortunately, I was a little bit sad that it didn't have anything with Jen Bartel's beautiful design, but I'm sure they're holding that for either a postponed date or if it just gets moved to 2021, that may be the 2021 design.
I mean, why not?
Right? But there's some cool stuff with the WonderCon logo on it. They've got like a pair of dice, the pens. I'll admit I actually bought the pens because I was like, wouldn't this be fun to own this like at the convention? Doesn't really happen. But yeah, it's some cool stuff. There's a hat, a tote. You can buy all of that now. And the cool thing that they're doing is that anyone can purchase it. So even if you were not going to WonderCon this year, you are able to purchase it and they will ship it to you. And to Harriet, who just asked in the chat, did they release a new tiki? No, unfortunately, there is no tiki. I suspect that they would also hold that until whenever the next convention is. Whether that's the fall or next year. So James over here, as you might notice, has decided that just like at WonderCon, well, you explain it, James. What are you doing? I think you're still muted.
I have to unmute. Well, basically, for all of WonderCon weekend, I mean, you don't wear the same shirt the entire weekend, right? I mean, you even might wear multiple shirts in the day because you walk around a bunch and then you go out for the night. You got to change shirts. So I will be changing shirts every guest. And they're all going to be blog shirts because we've been doing this for so long. I have actually more blog shirts than we have guests. So this is going to be fun. And so if I disappear, you know why. Or I may be going to the bathroom. Who knows? You'll find out. Well, there you go.
If there's anything, yes. We honestly, what I would like to hear from you guys is like, what are you missing the most about WonderCon today? Like, what were you looking the most forward to that you're not getting to experience today?
You go first, Robert.
I think mine would have to be just seeing everyone. I see a couple of you guys once a year or twice a year, and at one of those events is usually at WonderCon where I see you guys. So definitely that would have to be one on top of my list, is just getting to see the people that I see only at conventions. So
I think that's probably true for all of us, but it looked like we have Jen Bartel.
Oh, hey, cool. Well, then let's get started with our first guest, and let's promote our two panelists. And welcome, Jen, if you can hear us.
Hi. Hold on. This is my first time using Zoom, so I'm just trying to figure it out.
No worries.
No, you're fine. In the bottom left, there should, yeah, I think you just found it.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
Hey, Jen.
Hey there.
Hello.
Well, welcome to our WonderCon Online special telethon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sorry.
Perfect time. Carrie, why don't you get us started?
Sure. So we're all very sad that we're not at WonderCon today, but I'm especially sad that we don't get to see that beautiful program cover that you did in person. Hopefully we'll get to see it in person sooner at some point, but can you talk a little bit about how that came about, like just the process behind all of it?
Yeah. So, when I was initially approached about doing the key art, or I guess the program guide art, they knew already that they wanted something with Wonder Woman. And so it was definitely something that I couldn't turn down. I love drawing her. And so, yeah, it went pretty smoothly. I mean, I submitted 3 ideas, and I think they have all of the ideas, I think, online. And
yeah, they had them at the museum, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I did a talk on it there too. So I think that's on the official site if people are interested in seeing that. But yeah, I submitted 3 sketches and they picked one, and I just kind of took it to final. Definitely took some extra care on it though, because it's not super often that I'm doing like essentially a cover illustration that can also be blown up to like huge sizes. So yeah, went pretty heavy on the details.
How did it feel like having Comic-Con International approach you to ask you to design this?
Surreal. It was, I mean, if people aren't familiar with my work, I come from like more of an illustration background. And I say that loosely because I went to school for illustration, but I graduated kind of at the height of our last Great Recession. And so, even though I had like illustration training, I never really went super like professional with it. I did like random jobs here and there, but my career never really took off, and I mostly worked retail for a really long time. And then about 4 years ago, I was approached about doing a Gem in the Holograms cover for IDW. And I think like, because I was posting random fan art online, like the editor I was working with, John Barber, thought that I had already done comic covers. And so he like there was no like introduction or anything. I was just kind of thrown into the deep end. And I didn't let on that I hadn't done covers before. So yeah, I pretty much did the first cover, and it turned into many more after that. And it kind of rapidly progressed into me, I guess, becoming like kind of a regular cover artist. It's weird because, I feel like I'm sort of at the center of it. And so my perspective is maybe not, the same as everyone else's. But last year I won the Eisner for Best Cover Artist. And I think that was the moment where it started to feel kind of like this was my real job. Like it's been very surreal overall, and it's been a very fast progression to the point that I'm at now. And so when they approached me, I definitely wasn't expecting it, and I was very honored.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jen, is there something that about going to a con that you didn't expect that you'd be missing at this point, or maybe something you expected to miss but aren't just there yet?
Yeah, it's weird because I had never really been to a comic convention as an attendee before. Like I started tabling 4 years ago, but again, coming from illustration, my experience within the comics world was very minimal. And so I've only experienced conventions as like a tabling, like working pro. And this year was going to be the first time that I was going to focus more on like being available for panels and signings, because sometimes when you're tabling, it's really difficult to actually like get away from the table, because, you know, like people expect you to be there when they bring things to sign, people want to buy stuff. And so you're essentially like running a shop for 4 days or 3 days at WonderCon. And so this year I wasn't actually going to be tabling the whole time. And so as a result, I was scheduled to do a lot more like interactive fan events and panels and things like that. And I was really looking forward to getting to like actually engage with, you know, consumers and fans a little bit more. And it's kind of it's a bummer that that's not happening, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully things will start turning around soon.
Yeah.
So you basically already answered one of the questions I had about coming up from fan art into just being an industry professional. So I'm going to ask you, you mentioned that it was kind of surreal doing that, but what was really like one of the most surreal projects? Because looking through your different work, I mean, to me, it would seem something like the Adidas shoes would be just like that really way out there moment where you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah, well, definitely the sneakers were, it was weird because, okay, so I basically worked like service industry and retail jobs from the time that I graduated for about 5 years, 4.5, 5 years. And then, you know, I had all but given up on having any kind of like freelance art career. So at that point I was resigned. It sounds spoiled, but you know, I think all of us who went to school for illustration, like we had hoped to be freelance illustrators, you know, to do it full time. But I was at a point where I decided that I probably wasn't going to have a shot at a freelance career. And so it was time for me to like actually put my degree to use, stop doing retail, and look for an in-house art position. And so in that sort of final 1.5, 2 years before I actually went into comics full time, I worked as a product developer in-house for a small like giftware company. So I was designing like ceramics and like pillows, like Christmas ornaments, like we like, you know, knickknacks essentially.
A little bit different, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like kind of on the margins of what I had studied to do, and it was fine, and I learned a lot. But when I was approached about doing the shoes, that's when it was like, oh my God, this job that I had that I like really wasn't passionate about, that I didn't think I would ever really be utilizing again, is now like completely providing me the insight to do this really well. And so it was like kind of a serendipitous moment, I guess, where I felt like, okay, not only do I have like the comics knowledge and the illustration know-how, but I also come from a product design background. And so I'm like perfectly positioned to do this job. And yeah, that was definitely a really surreal moment. And yeah, I don't know that another opportunity has really topped that.
Well, you also were able to do your own comic about 1.5 years ago and do the interiors as well. And that seems, and since that is something that's completely different from doing just covers, how did you feel getting that accomplished?
It's so hard. It is like an insane amount of work to draw a comic. Like even a single issue of 22 pages is like, if you are an artist who's accustomed to doing like singular illustrations, my God, it's like you're doing at least 6 of those per page, you know? And so you just kind of have to get into a totally different mindset, and your focus definitely has to shift, because, you know, like there are things that I would prioritize if I'm doing like a single illustration, because I know that like people are going to look at it for much longer, right? And so I think the biggest challenge for me was like learning how to be a little bit less precious with all of my work, because the important thing with sequential art is communicating a story, right? And so even if it's the prettiest drawing in the world, if it's not emotive, if it's not like actually telling people what's going on, it's not really going to read well. And so it just gets you into a totally different mindset. And it's probably the most challenging work that I've done. It's just a marathon, you know?
Well, I want to keep talking a little bit about comics, but on a slightly different note. I love that you offered to send just a couple free items to comic shops recently with all of this going on for when they open back up. How important do you think it is to support small comic shops right now?
Super important. It cannot be stated enough how kind of symbiotic all of our work, all of our careers and livelihoods are. You know, everything is interconnected within this industry, and it's so important that we all have each other's backs. You know, and I think that most creators are very, very aware of that. But I think once you've done like a creator-owned book, especially, you kind of realize like the difference it can make when you have a retailer hand selling your book for you, like what that can do for you, for your career. And I think it's only, you know, it's the least that we can do to help retailers out right now.
Absolutely agreed. And I know we have a girl on our team. She runs a comic shop, and I know she was very grateful for your offer.
Oh,
so,
well, unfortunately, the warehouse, my store manager also had to shut her warehouse down for a couple of weeks. So I haven't been able to actually get any of the packages out yet, but they're ready
that's
to
fine.
go.
I don't think many people are open right now anyway for it. So
yeah, it was definitely one of those like, oh, if I can get these out quickly, then maybe you can, you know, do something. But hopefully by the time they get out, they'll still be some kind of use to people. So
yes, I think they will.
All right, so we did have a question, which I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer. Swag Collector asked if your Wonder Woman art for the program cover is going to be used in any capacity, or have they mentioned that at all to you, if it's going to get used beyond what they've already done?
Yeah, so I know that it's going to be, I did a couple versions for t-shirts. So I know that at least one t-shirt is getting done.
Good.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be used whenever the con does happen. So, you know, I don't have a date for that, but yeah, I do think that they were planning on doing like giveaway posters and t-shirts, and yeah, there were definitely going to be some other formats that it was going to be on.
Very cool. All right, so we actually have reached close to the end, but I don't see our next guest here. So if anyone has any other questions, does anyone have any other questions they wanted to ask? Because we do have one more.
Let's just keep going. Okay, so Jen, well, no, we have not. Did we ask this one?
Which one?
This.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Sorry, Jen. Why don't you talk a little bit about any projects that you have coming up, and also where people can shop for your, I know you have a great store online that people can go shop and support you there.
Yeah, so right now I'm, you know, this is, I don't know if it's going to be kind of depressing to talk about, but there are a lot of projects that, you know, I've received sort of the pencils down direction on. And so there's a lot of stuff that I kind of started working on that has now been either benched or paused. And I think that a lot of creators are, you know, in a similar position. And so I'm trying to get ahead on some more of my like self-motivated work, stuff that had to be on the back burner, so that I could focus on client stuff. I am working on a project with Saladin Ahmed, who, if you're not familiar with his work, I don't know if there's viewers, but he's primarily known for his work on Miles Morales, Spider-Man at Marvel, and Kamala Khan. So that's been really exciting. That schedule has also been disrupted, so I don't have any official dates at this point, but it is an upcoming project that will be announced at some point. And yeah, as far as like where you can purchase stuff online, it's just jenbartel.shop.
There's some awesome prints and pens and things on there.
Thank you.
We have a couple of reader questions. Anthony January wants to know, are you doing commissions?
I am not, unfortunately. I still actually have a couple of straggler commissions from the last time that I opened them that I, still have to get around to. So I haven't opened any new ones just because I don't want to be taking on more when I still owe people things. We'll see how work goes, because ultimately, if publishers and other clients are putting a pause on all of their work, then it might actually give me a little bit of breathing room to actually offer commissions for the first time in like 2 years or something.
There you go. There's a bright side. Adam Tierney wants to know, Jim is such a beloved brand for so many people, but are there any other brands from your childhood that you would love to illustrate for comics but haven't had a chance to yet?
Oh, it's tough because I grew up in Korea, and so most of my exposure to like comics was manga, and I didn't actually really become familiar with Western comics. So I didn't have access to them until I moved back to the States for college. And at that point, it was like probably showing my age here, but it was definitely a different period in time where I remember like going into a comic shop because I went to school in New York City, and I went to a prominent comic shop, and I was made to feel so unwelcome that I just like didn't try again for like 3 years after that. And it's the industry is so different now. There are so many visible women working, and not only just like women working within the shops, but also like women creators, and so my experience going into comic shops now is obviously different, but that had a pretty big impact on what I was reading. The ironic thing is, last year, just as an aside, I saw someone posted a photo of that exact store that I had gone into. And they had a big poster of my Spider-Man Marvel Tales cover up in the window. It was kind of a nice, end to that story. But yeah, most of the stuff that I grew up reading was like Sailor Moon, Clamp stuff, lots of like shoujo manga. But yeah, I guess like if there was something, that I would like to take on, I know it's been kind of talked about before, and discussions have continued here and there over the last couple of years, but I've talked multiple times now about wanting to do like a version of Storm. That would be like a big dream of mine, so we'll see.
That's a good answer. It's a very good answer. Leonard wants to know, how long did it actually take you to put the Wonder Woman piece together?
So I wasn't like clocking my hours necessarily, but probably I would say like on a project like that, from like conceptual, from the sort of like concept thumbnail stage all the way to delivering final art, it's usually about like a 2 to 3 week turnaround is kind of what's like standard. WonderCon was very generous. They gave me a lot of time. They contacted me like way ahead, but in terms of actual like hours spent, probably like a day on, concepts, and then like 2 days for doing like the actual pencils and inks and colors, So yeah. And I don't know if that's like full work days or it's kind of a little ambiguous, but yeah, I would say roughly like the total working hours would probably be somewhere between like 3 and 4 work days, but it's sort of spread out,
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, well, Jen, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. And one more time, where can our listeners find you online?
Yeah, so on social media, I'm just at Hey Jen Bartel, and my website is just jenbartel.com, and my store is jenbartel.shop. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks.
Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
And coming up next, we have Gary Marinu. Hey, Gary, you just need to start. There you go. Start your video. Hey, Gary, how are you doing?
Hi, everybody. How we doing?
Nice background.
Yeah, nice.
Wait. I'm going to change that in a second. Okay, there we go. A little Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
There you go.
Very
reverse?
nice.
Can't tell. Is it
Well,
backwards?
thank you.
No, it reads normal.
I think it's backwards for you, but for us, it looks normal.
Ah, there we go. All right. Here, I'm all psyched and ready. I'm very happy to be here today. Anywhere today.
We're very happy to have you here. So for anyone who doesn't know, we've talked a little bit about what you do, but why don't you explain what you do?
I am a publicist specializing in fanboy realm, sports, and believe it or not, healthcare. So these are the things I do on a daily basis. I publicize. I work a lot for Warner Brothers, particularly Warner Brothers Home Entertainment and all their DC properties. And I do some things for other studios and other networks and some of the sports franchises around. So it's a good time. I like that little collection of Funko Pops over there too. That's cool.
Thank you.
Most of mine are in my Warner Brothers office. I have a couple of hundred there, and and I miss them all.
Don't get visitation rights, go in for like an hour. And
You know what? They told us to get out of the building and said we could come in limited, and we came in limited, and then they said on a Thursday afternoon they came around and said you're not getting in tomorrow, so only very limited. And it's smart. I mean, keep everybody separate and do what they're supposed to do. So I'm proud of the way Warner Brothers has reacted. I think they've done a very fine job of keeping us all healthy and connected and all that. So
I noticed you're sporting a Zoom background there, getting technology to work for you.
I have many Zoom backgrounds. I will introduce them all as we go. And I have to share this is okay. So in addition to work, which has not stopped whatsoever, I work in home entertainment, and this coronavirus has put me home in home entertainment. I've been cleaning. I am a horrible hoarder, as so many of us are, and my upstairs home office is a mess. Hoarders, the show, would not come to it. So I've been finding things like WonderCon and Comic-Con t-shirts that I never even took out of the bag. So I'm very excited to keep breaking out new things to wear and remember fun items. I've been finding all kinds of premium items. And
I feel like you've been posting some of them on Twitter, like that mask and some other things.
Oh yeah, my Green Lantern light up ring. And you should see the stuff I found from working at Disney TV animation for 10 years. Holy crap. My Kim Possible naked mole rat that's signed by Nancy Cartwright, I treasure forever.
Nice. So. Well, speaking of the conventions that we can't go to, we're asking this of everyone. What is something about going to the conventions that you didn't expect you would be missing, or conversely, something you expected to be missing but really aren't?
I knew I'd miss. It's exactly what I love and look forward, putting together anything for a con. And I do 12 to 14 panels every time we do San Diego, and we had a lot lined up for Anaheim, and it's a monumental undertaking, but I look so forward to being there for so many reasons, and they're the exact reasons I'm missing right now, and which it really is, I'm missing the people. That's the most fun. I mean, I love moderating, but mostly because I can be on stage for an hour and not be bothered by any emails or calls or anything like that. But I mean, I miss the people. I miss the talent. The talent is almost so much fun, and they have such a good time at the cons, mostly because of the wonderful fans who really, are there rooting for them. I miss my colleagues, my old friends, other studios and network execs and publicists and folks from the comics industry. Scott Gimple, the great exec producer of The Walking Dead. We used to make cartoons at Disney 24 years ago, and we've been friends ever since. We're good friends. We never see each other except at Comic-Con, WonderCon, New York Comic-Con, etc. So We're missing our annual photo this weekend. I miss that. I miss the media. The media is a good time. They are a wonderful, wonderful group of people. I miss the vendors. I will save money this weekend. I am not going to get to see Mr. Toast or Shannon Wheeler with what?
Go shop online.
Oh, I already
Support
am.
the
Trust
fair.
me. Too Much Coffee Man just got a whole bunch of orders from Gary here. The Tick. I don't get my The Tick hat this year. That bums me out. And all those great people on Artist Alley. And I miss the fans. They're so supporting and so much fun, and I adore them that way. And the con organizers, they are family. And I know we're all quick to criticize, but if anybody ever was inside and saw what they do, they go above and beyond to make, to orchestrate the whole thing. And I miss those guys. They're fun. So yeah, I'm missing a lot of that, and just the personal contact and interaction. That's such a good time. And the not eating or going to the bathroom for 8 consecutive hours. That's fun too.
Gary, are you having to find new ways to get word out about releases, or is it kind of just like business as usual?
No, it's totally new. Well, it's half and half. There are the standards. I mean, we do phone interviews with our talent anyway, set them up with media interviews. We do other things, but yeah, there's a little something we'll announce tomorrow that's really exciting for us. That not something that we've done before, but we're gonna give it a shot. There's a couple of things we're trying, and then we're doing a lot of, there's a lot of ways we're trying to promote, trying to find new ways to promote. And last night I was sitting around brainstorming a bunch of other ideas and actually combing through other industries and seeing how they're dealing with it and seeing what I can steal off of them, because I'm not above that. So but it is a challenge, and it is I find Zoom meetings relentless and exhausting. And I was joking around the other day. I did 3 consecutive Zoom meetings, and then I was writing, and I kept feeling like maybe I was still on camera, and it was a little weird there. So I was like, okay, what am I thinking here? What am I doing? So it's entertaining, but
Well, we appreciate you doing one more Zoom meeting for us.
Yes.
Absolutely. Why not?
So theaters are closed, and we're seeing a shift of some releases, like Trolls being an event home release, and Onward getting to Disney Plus way early. Do you think that this is going to be a true shift for some releases to go home first from now on, or do you think the industry is going to try and get back to normal when this is done?
I think, I'm not sure. I mean, I know we're doing that right now. Over my shoulder here is Lego Shazam that we moved up. I don't know that we'll change. I can't speak for theatrical, that's for sure. And that's on them. But I certainly hope people will go back to the movies, because that's a wonderful place to see a movie.
Yes.
I will not watch any movie on my phone. I like watching in a theater or on my home TV. So I can't speak for theatrical, and I hope that survives and thrives, because there's some great movies I was really looking forward to. Come on, James Bond. And Wonder Woman 84 and Scoob, and geez, I'm pumped for all these things. We like Lego Shazam, Lego DC Shazam, Monsters, Magic and Monsters is we had that coming out much later on digital. We've moved it up. It's coming out on the 28th of April. And so a couple of Tuesdays from now. The Blu-rays won't come out until June, but we moved up the digital date to give some people, a chance to watch at home, including Jeremy Adams, the guy who wrote it, who texted me last night, was desperate for something to entertain his kids with. We're not moving anything up that I know of at this time. And, as opposed to Disney, who has Disney Plus and can throw Onward on there and the like, we've got, HBO Max isn't up yet. So we're still probably a month away from that. And that, I'm sure somebody will do something. I just don't know what.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, go.
I was just say, as you mentioned, like you guys had a lot planned for WonderCon. It's totally fine if you can't, but is there anything you can tell us about what all we would have seen at WonderCon? Again, it's totally fine if not.
Let's see. What can I tell you? Well, I think you would have seen, if anybody who follows our release process probably would figure out that we would have shown Lego Shazam over that weekend. You'll definitely hear about this on Monday, but we would have been showing Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, which comes out on Blu-ray on digital on Tuesday. So run out and get it, because its thing is so. If you like Mortal Kombat, if you like violence, if you like bloody, and if you like humor, you get this in boatloads. It's amazing. I can tell you those two. I can tell you Warner Archive. We had a Tex Avery panel that would have been dynamic. And oh my God, if you haven't seen the Blu-ray release of our first volume, they look beautiful. And I had forgotten how damn funny Tex Avery cartoons are. We did have a tune stock lined up that we were really looking forward to, because, you know, it was Scooby themed, but in light of current times, we were going to bring in tigers. So it was going to be, you know, really amazing. Singing tigers. You can't beat that. All right.
No.
Better than Tiger King, right?
Right. And then we were going to have a Trailers from Hell panel with Josh Olson and the Warner Archive guys. So we were looking forward to that. And then there was that special, the Masked Publicist panel that we were putting on that I had already prepped my Kevin Conroy outfit, and I was looking forward to seeing what Arun Singh and David Hyde would do, but for another time.
Gary, do you have a favorite memory or two from WonderCon?
I got lots. A lot of people don't hear about it. I'm trying to think of my favorite. Do I have a favorite? They're all favorites. I enjoy them so much. I loved going to San Francisco. San Francisco was a great location. I loved that. It was like we were all going away to camp or something. Anaheim is a good time. I do love being in the arena. I'm trying to think of a favorite. What a lot of people don't know is I've been inflicted or afflicted several times at WonderCon the last couple of years, whether it was food poisoning or gout or last year I was so sick. I was running 105-degree temperature while moderating the panel on Friday night, and I thought I was going to die. But adrenaline and that crowd and that talent carried me through. So
show must go on.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I love WonderCon because it's I call it the appetizer to the feast. You know, it's smaller, it's controllable, it's manageable. You don't hurt yourself. All right, I'll give you a silly favorite memory. We did Toonstock a number of years ago, and somebody lost my tape, my main tape, and I had to go back to the Hilton to get the backup. And I made it from the 3rd floor of the convention center to the Hilton in my room and back in 8 minutes, which, if you know me, speed is not my friend. So it was quite amazing, but we were able to run it, and it was a good time. And Matt and Dan made everything sing while I was away. So that was funny. Yeah, last year's Batman 80 panel was a blast. In addition to Jim Lee and David Massouz, we had Lee Merriweather telling great stories that brought people to tears, and Kevin Conroy, Diedrich Bader, and Roger Craig Smith, all those 3 great Batman voices, entertaining the crowd with one thing after another and quick quips. And that was a really fun one. And the cupcakes were good.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments that people love the Toonstocks, and someone specifically mentioned the Batman 80th panel in the comments. So yeah, people love your panels.
We have, you know what? I got pretty simple philosophy on how to run a panel. One, I am a fan, and I tell my talent not to answer to me, but pretend like I'm in the audience, because I think I'm asking the questions they want to hear. And 2, it is for the fans, and we have a great time doing that. And I just, they buoy all of that. So it helps me to plan a panel. I don't have to go that in depth. I just think like a fan, which is what I am.
There you go. So we have a couple of coronavirus related questions.
Okay.
The first from Juan Miguel is, how severe do you think the impact is on the theatrical industry, movie theaters versus industries like restaurants? I mean, everybody's affected, but do you think that, the question kind of goes into what I asked earlier, do you think things are going to change when we come back? Because restaurants, they'll just go back to serving food and having guests, but some theaters may close, some may never reopen when they come back. So do you think we're going to have a shift, a difference in the industry?
I think there'll definitely be a hit. I think there'll have to be some ways to motivate people to come back. I mean, fear is a very natural concept for people. I'm sure my wife won't want to go into a theater or a large, space with a lot of people at any one time for a while. I share those fears to a point, but I have confidence. I keep hearing people say things like, I don't want to go into a crowd, unless I know there's an antivirus, what do you call it?
Vaccine.
Already. Yeah, vaccine ready. I'll be interested to see how it breaks down. I'm trying to stay optimistic about those things, but I think it'll be fairly natural for a fear factor to keep people at bay, at least for a little while. I mean, I think of ball games. I cannot wait to get to a ball game. And yet, I'm fairly certain that didn't happen until, July, August, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that because of how it may shift in the theaters, a lot of what Comic-Con has become to the media is promoting the big tentpole releases and such, the big premieres? Do you think that Comic-Con itself will change with what people are bringing, or is it just going to be business as usual because they have something to promote?
I could see a recoil initially, but I think we're, especially with things getting moved back and needing as much attention as we can and needing to, there's a major sports league that I work with that has drawn the conclusion that they need to make sure that people are willing to go out. And to do that, they're looking at how many of their major influential players and other industries that are fans of that sport can show that fearlessness to be able to go out with the crowd and, take me out to the ball game, take me out with the crowd. You want a crowd. And I think people are going to have to see that it's okay and being accepted by people they trust before people will return. So Comic-Con, maybe it's all kinds, I think, this year. Any event that's coming back this year will take a hit. But I think when people see that it's safe and it's okay, it will evolve back into what it is. And I'd be willing to bet 2021 is even bigger for most cons. So we're going to suffer this year, but I think next year we come back with a vengeance.
That's what we're hoping. So I don't shortchange them. The first question was Juan Miguel, and the second question was Leonard, who asked those.
Leonard.
So I think that's almost all the time we have. I know we got a schedule to keep here today. It's amazing. We have a schedule for once.
We do, but real quick, Gary, do you want to talk about the movie that's on your background behind you? And do you want to also tell our readers where they can find you online?
Oh, well, you can always. Okay, so Just Sleep Dark right there. You'll be seeing a lot of clips and information rolling out about that. It's coming May 5th on digital, just in time for Mother's Day. And no, I don't remember any mothers in the movie, but this baby's a blockbuster. If you've been following these films, you won't want to miss this. It will hit you in every way you can imagine. Emotionally, funny, action, everything. And May 19th on Blu-ray and 4K. We'll be announcing some other things for the upcoming year in the very near future. We got a couple of surprises coming later. Like I said, watch for things on Monday because there's some good stuff. There's a really cool thing we're going to announce on Monday. And then you can find me online at Super PR Guy, capital S, capital P, capital R, capital G. Super PR Guy. And that is not an ego thing. I made it up thinking I was publicizing superhero stuff. So there. Yeah, somebody when I first started said, well, a little presumptuous, aren't you?
You are a super PR guy, though, Gary.
Other than that, I just want to say happy Easter to everybody. Happy Passover to everybody. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. And, we will be back.
Yes, we will.
We will.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Gary. We always love chatting with you.
Thanks for having me. Anytime you guys want, I'm always happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, Gary.
Yep.
All right, so we are not only saying goodbye to Gary, but we are saying goodbye to our dear friend Robert. Robert, why don't you tell our readers where they can find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Legion of Sand or on Instagram, same handle. So I know Sean from ParksCon, his tagline is I'll see you in line somewhere, but I'll just say I'll see you guys at a con at some point. So
that's good.
You guys have a you guys enjoy the rest of your show.
All right, thanks so much for joining us, Robert. And now we get to bring on Aaron. Hey, Aaron, do you want to unmute yourself? There we go. Hey, Aaron.
Forgotten how this operates. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
really good to see you guys.
You sound a little bit soft.
Ooh, do I need to speak up? Do I need to? Am I close enough? Do I need to get closer?
I think you sound soft. We'll see what James says here in a second. Okay. But thank you so much for joining us. And it is not only the day of our podcast, it happens to be your birthday. So happy birthday, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And in addition to Aaron from our team, we also have Dane Alt from Monkey Minion.
Hello.
Hey, Dane. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. You hanging in there?
Sort of. I'm working on it.
Good.
Happy birthday, Aaron.
Thank you very much. Am I sounding better? Am I sounding louder?
I can hear you better, at least.
My technical advisor is coming over to play with the chords and see if we can figure something out.
That's okay. So while we wait for James to finish changing into his new con shirts, Dane, wait, we're doing a thing. Like he's changing shirts between every guest.
Nice.
So it's like a real convention where you change shirts. Yes, indeed. So there you go. One question, Dane, that we are asking everyone is there something about going to conventions that you didn't think that you would be missing, but you are? Or alternatively, is there something you expected to be missing, but are like, you know what, don't really miss that?
I think one of the things that I'm missing the most is just the travel. Like I'm usually at 1 to 2 shows a month, different city, different state, whatever. And for the since early March, basically, I've been at home, which is unusual for me this time of year. So not being out amongst the people is probably the one thing that I'm missing the most. As far as the second question, I don't know. I guess setting up the booth. That's probably the one thing I'm not missing at all, because that is a lot of work and it's a short time period and it kind of sucks. So
that is the most stressful thing is setting up a booth at a convention, because you have a hard deadline, and if one thing goes wrong, it's so stressful.
The closest my wife and I have ever come to divorce is during setup at a show. It's super stressful.
So speaking of your wife, you guys are in a creative partnership with Monkey Minion Press. So which came first, the creative partnership or the marriage?
The marriage. She and I met at work. We worked together at a book, music, and video store called Hastings in St. Joseph, Missouri, when we were in college. And just kind of went from there. And then once we graduated, I'm a graphic designer and she's a writer. And so eventually just kind of came together that we should try and work on projects together. So, yeah.
Very cool. So in that process, how does the creative process work as a team when you're trying to come up with new items? Do you like collaborate and like throw ideas back and forth? Do you come up with your own ideas and then pitch them?
So it depends. It depends on the project. A lot of the things are either she'll have an idea, she'll have a pretty set, firm idea of this is the thing I think you should do. And I'll go mull it over for a little bit and then take a crack at it, and we'll go back and forth at it until it comes together in a cohesive form. A lot of our posters work that way, and all of our books work that way. But then there's some things where I'm just like, I have a thing, I'm going to make it. You might hate it, I don't care. I'm going to make it, and it's going out. So one thing about having the control over the keyboard is that I kind of have final veto power over everything that goes out.
Can we hear Aaron?
Oh, yeah. I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
I can. There you are.
Okay. One thing that I've noticed is that you have a lot of space themed art. And I was wondering about your love of space and if it inspired you to create, if that was a beginning and a catalyst for that, or if that's something that came later.
So I grew up in Florida in the 80s. I grew up on the other side of the state from Cape Canaveral, Kennedy Space Center, that area. And so like, we'd always see the shuttle launch, but we'd see it from way away. We'd see the plume, but it was always there. It was omnipresent in my brain as a small child. So when we first started doing this, it wasn't really a thing. I hadn't really figured out how to catalyze it and turn it into anything else. So I was doing a lot of pop culture propaganda, like that kind of stuff. And then a few years ago, I did this one piece because we had decided that we were going to try and do propaganda for real life things that we liked. And so I did this one piece that was One Giant Leap Is Not Enough, and it was all of the manned space missions that NASA had sent up. And people started asking, well, why don't you have more space stuff? And I was like, why don't I have more space stuff? And so we just kind of expanded in that direction.
Well, I love that stuff.
Thank you.
It's very inspiring. As someone who's always wanted to go to space camp and still wants to go to space camp,
Me too.
It's some of my favorite work. You know, they do have an adult program.
I know. We've got a friend in Chicago who has been and tells me that I should all the time.
Yeah, I do want to. I do really want to. We should just get a whole bunch of us like Comic-Con nerdy people, and we should all go together.
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you know. If I book it, I'm going to let you know.
All right.
So I want to ask you, especially right now, how important is it to support small artists like yourself?
Well, from a purely selfish standpoint, incredibly. Right now, especially like with me and a lot of my friends who do cons as a full-time job, with no cons, there's no money. Like,
right.
This is like doing cons is my job. I do a little freelance work on the side, but it's not really enough to pay my bills. So when people are ordering things from our websites or they're sharing our stuff on social media and getting us a wider audience, it's super helpful. It's probably right now the one thing keeping us eating, basically, is people ordering stuff on our website and sharing our stuff on Twitter and Facebook.
Absolutely. And obviously, like you said, like this is impacting you financially, but how is it also impacting you creatively? Like, or is it like, I can see how there's pros and cons here.
So it's impacted me creatively in a lot of ways. So like anybody who's followed my work for a while knows that I'm very influenced by the news. I tend to make a lot of stuff that reacts to things that are happening in the news. So I don't know if you can see them behind me. I did a couple posters. They're propaganda, but they're in like a neon googie font sign style, where they're like, wash your hands, stay home, stay safe, save lives, stay 6 feet away, save the day, that kind of stuff. Coincidentally, they're all on my website right now. But those were obviously directly influenced with the situation we find ourselves in. So in that way, impacted me creatively, but in a lot of ways, like in other ways, other things I should be working on has been a lot slower, just because I don't have the headspace to deal with everything and then work on happy, fun kids books, or, you know, looking forward and super optimistic propaganda art right now.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. For anybody who is watching live, though, I would love to show off some of your artwork on your website, if that's cool.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So, is it working, James?
Yep, I can see it.
Yep.
Okay. So you've got all kinds of fun stuff. I know Aaron and I were talking about, we love these little Borbs birds. They're just cute. But you've got all kinds of fun space artwork. It's just gorgeous. Look at that. Like, it's all just really cool. So for anybody who's not familiar with Monkey Minion's work, again, look at this. This is just gorgeous. This is what you guys do, and it's really cool. And you can go shop all of this on monkeyminionpress.com, and you should.
I assume that you're a gamer, video gamer, just based on some of your artwork.
A little bit. Yeah.
Are you an Animal Crossing fan at all? Is that something that you've gotten into?
I'm not. I don't have a Switch.
Mm.
And like right now, it's really hard to convince myself that I should go buy a Switch.
Right. Yeah.
But I've tweeted out the day that Animal Crossing came out that I'm super grateful to Nintendo for keeping all of my friends at home and safe.
Yeah.
Basically. So I'm a fan of Animal Crossing in that way. So
are you playing anything yourself right now?
I've recently, during Black Friday, when they had the sales online, I bought a bunch of stuff on my PlayStation, because at that point I only had Spider-Man, which is great. So I went and bought a bunch of stuff that was on sale. So I've been recently playing Hitman.
Cool. I love those Hitman games. I mean, I don't play. I should clarify that. I love watching my husband play the Hitman games. I'm not good at moving and shooting and looking at the same time, but those are some of my favorite, like figuring out how that stuff works and how to accomplish a job and sneaking around. I like those games a lot.
Yeah. My favorite thing about that game, though, is like shooting is actually probably the worst way to deal with any problem in that game.
Yeah. Piano wire works much better.
Yes.
But
other than that, we also recently got the Untitled Goose game.
Oh, so much fun.
It's so cute.
Well, maybe we'll see some goose artwork from you soon enough.
I think you have one, don't you?
You from the Goose game? Oh my gosh.
I have a quick question. Since you have such a variety of items that you produce, do you have any medium that you enjoy seeing your work on the most, or that you enjoy working with the most?
Like as a final.
Yeah, like when you see it, you're like, I just like the way this looks, like a poster versus a postcard versus a book. Which one do you just like enjoy seeing your work on the most, or is it just like they're all your babies?
So part of it's they're all my babies, because when I'm making it, that's the thing I'm working on at that point. But it depends on the thing, because like I tell a lot of like younger artists and people like that tell me I should print my stuff on multiple sizes and stuff. I design a thing for a size, or design a thing for a medium most of the time. So like if I design it for a 10 by 10, that's what size I want to see it at. If I design it for a 12 by 36, that's what size I like to see it at. So it really depends on the piece. That said, if we're talking about final printed mediums, I don't remember how my art classes are leaving. I don't remember how the plural goes. I really like seeing my stuff on canvas. Like canvas is it's a really interesting thing, because the way that the canvas eats the ink and the surface of the canvas processes it, changes the color slightly. So you get to see a whole new way of looking at the art that I've been printing on paper for years. It's like, oh, well, that's what that looks like under this particular instance. It's really kind of cool.
I actually do agree with that, because when you see something on canvas, it does have a different quality to it. Just as an appreciator of seeing things in person, I can tell that a canvas is like, okay, that's something just a little bit more.
Right. And it's interesting. Like it was, so we've printed. There's an old one of my first long rocket pieces, the Apollo project. I printed it on canvas for a special edition thing I did for San Diego Comic-Con a couple years ago. And it was really interesting seeing how like the blues and the oranges in the background kind of receded and popped in different ways than they do on the paper. And I was like,
Very good. All right. It looks like we're almost out of time. So, Carrie, you want to handle the final question?
Sure. So, Dane, we already mentioned your website. Why don't you just go ahead and tell everyone again where they can find you online and where they can shop your store?
Okay. I am at monkeyminionpress.com. You can find everything that I make up there almost. I try and keep it updated, but I'm bad at it. You can also find me at Monkey Minion on Twitter, where I post my art periodically and yell at the president a lot. Instagram, where I post my art exclusively. Facebook, or my Instagram is at Monkey Minion Press. Facebook at Monkey Minion Press, same thing. And I just recently launched a Patreon, which is Monkey Minion on Patreon. So yeah, I think it's everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dane, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And I hope everybody goes and buys some of your awesome artwork.
Thank you all for having me. It was great.
Thank you so much.
That was probably the fastest 15 minutes I've ever had.
We will take that as a compliment.
Yes. It was meant to be fun.
All right. Well, you go enjoy the rest of your Saturday, Dane. And up next, we have Brianna Cherry Garcia.
Who should be on now?
Brianna, you are on. You just need to unmute yourself and turn on your video. I see you, but you're still on mute. Hey, Brianna. Good.
There
Perfect.
we go.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're good. We're good. You hanging in there?
Yeah. So far, so good.
Good. All right, Aaron, you want to kick us off?
Yes.
Well, actually, first, Brianna, for anybody who doesn't know, you are a fantastic artist. You do a lot of artwork around Disney and Marvel and My Little Pony. But is there anything that you want people to know just about who you are and the kind of work that you do?
I mean, that's pretty much, my art is my life. It's my passion. It's what I love doing. So I always I've got my hobbies. I love doing cosplay. And I dabble a little bit in fashion and stuff, but purely just as a hobby. But yeah, all of my love goes to art and my illustrations. Yeah.
You do some fantastic work.
Thank you so much.
So do you do cons yearly, like year round? On a normal year, of course. Is it like a full-time job for you?
Almost, yeah. I have my freelance work. I just finished a children's book with Nickelodeon, my second book with them, which has been great. I love doing that stuff. But yeah, most of the year I travel around to cons, try to do 1 or 2 a month. And I just, I made it to C2E2 this year, but since then it's been staying at home.
Well, is there anything this is something we've been asking all the folks, is there something about going to cons that specifically that you didn't expect that you would be missing and you are, or something that you thought you would be missing, but you actually realized you really aren't?
Yeah, actually, there's one of the things I missed a lot is the traveling part, because back when I took all this for granted, it was, I got to get on the plane. I got to drive to the airport. I got to do all this stuff. I got to pack everything. Whereas now I kind of miss that, because it's that excitement of getting ready for a con that I didn't realize I would miss. It's getting everything ready and the excitement of getting to a new city, or, like a place that I love going to, like Anaheim and WonderCon. And I do miss that a lot. And I do miss the setup and seeing, my friends at cons that I see every year. And of course I'm going to miss that, and what was the other part of the question?
If there was something that you thought you would be missing, but maybe you aren't missing as much.
So actually, it's funny because when I was thinking back to C2E2, I thought like, I love the interaction and I love seeing people and shaking hands and, all that kind of stuff. And, now it's, oh man, I'm not sure if I'm going to be shaking hands as much anymore.
Mhm.
So I don't quite miss that, but I miss it and I don't, it's like I miss that interaction with people and getting to, do hugs and, oh, let's take pictures together and, shake hands. Whereas now it's like, I might be backing off from that a little bit, just a little bit,
I understand. Like I
It's
I miss
hard.
seeing people, but I'm okay with not touching people.
It'll be a while,
Sorry. Yep.
before we can get to that point.
Yeah,
again.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So I want to talk about cosplay because I know that you are big into cosplay, and I think that it's probably an extra added challenge to try to figure out how to balance cosplaying with vending. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I actually got into conventions as a teenager through cosplay because I loved it since I was young. Started at Anime Expo and moved up to San Diego Comic-Con and all WonderCon and all the major conventions. So I love cosplaying Disney and Marvel right now, and I still do the full costumes. Nowadays, it's a lot harder because I work the booth, I set up the booth, I manage the booth, I do commissions all weekend long at a con. Wearing a wig and heavy, sometimes armor or like a corset. Sometimes that's hard to work in. So it's been tough trying to do like both at the same time now because I miss cosplay, but I love working the booth. So a nice compromise has been Disney bounding, which is not a full costume, but it's, for example, if I wanted to Disney bound as Snow White, I would wear a blue top, yellow shorts or pants or a skirt and like put a red hair bow in, and it's not a full costume, but it's easy enough to work in and it still, shows my love for a character. So I love Disney bounding now, and it's how I do most conventions now.
And Disney bounding, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't that start mostly as a way for adults to dress up when they go to the park, since adults aren't fully allowed to wear costumes when they go to the Disney parks?
Oh,
absolutely. Is that correct? So Disney bounding sort of from what I understand. So when you go, do you go to Disney often, and do you do the same thing there?
Yeah, I actually live about an hour's drive from Disneyland. I have an annual pass and I dress up a lot. Like I do a bunch of events, like I do Dapper Day, and whenever there's like a scheduled event for internet meetups, especially on Instagram, there's a lot of people who are very passionate about Disney fashion, and it's so much fun. Like, oh, let's do like a Marvel Disney bound meetup at the park, and it's a great challenge. Just wanted to put together an outfit just based on that and go hang out with everyone at the park, and it's a lot of fun. But and I still do the Halloween events at Disneyland. Those are the only time you can actually wear a full costume as an adult. But yeah, it's and it's something I love doing with my partner too, because we love doing couples outfits together, and it's one of our ways to go enjoy the park together.
Can you tell us about one of your couples outfits? I know I'm veering off topic a little bit, but I like this is okay.
No, one of our more recent ones we did was Briar Rose and Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty. And I did a full Prince Philip outfit, still feminine, but it was a lot of fun to put that together, to do like, oh, I love the character of Prince Philip. He's one of my favorite Disney princes. And so, but design an outfit, but make it feminine and girly. And then my girlfriend did full Briar Rose, and she was gorgeous. And it's just fun to go to the park together like that.
Absolutely. And speaking of Disney, so I actually first saw your art way back during the Mad Tea Party days on Tumblr. So that's where I first knew about you. We used to go all the time to see Mad Tea Party. That was so great. And then we would post, because my wife and I are both photographers, so we took photos of the band and then would post them. And of course on Tumblr, all the art's there too, so we would see all the art as well. But as a Disney fan, from going all the way back, what's it like being hired by them to do work, especially a mural that's in Shanghai.
Oh my God, that was one of the most amazing things that I ever got to do. So in college, I did a lot of Disney fan art, and a lot of that got posted backstage at Disneyland. And a wonderful gentleman from Disney Imagineering ended up seeing it backstage. And when he found out that I worked part-time at Disneyland, he actually came to me at the park and said, "Hey, I'm interested in like hiring you for a little freelance project." And I was like, I could not believe my luck. And yeah, it was Larry Nicolai, was the gentleman who hired me. And he was he was a supervisor on the Disneyland Shanghai Hotel. And a lot of that was, back then they were running, like, I wouldn't say like late on projects, but they needed a lot of extra help at the time. So he hired me to do help with him on the Shanghai, what was it? The Lumiere's Kitchen was the name of the restaurant. And I got to design several murals for that. And oh my gosh, I got to go see it in person in just 2018. So just a couple years ago. And sure enough, like, I cried when I saw it in person. I could not believe it. And I was with my mom and she cried. And my mom even, of course, she had to like turn to every cast member working there and was like, "My daughter did this and my daughter helped with this." And I'm just like, "Mom, stop." But
That's what moms are for.
yeah.
No, I actually,
yeah.
while I was researching all of our guests, when I was going through your Instagram, I noticed when you posted about that. And I think you even posted some of your sketches where you were designing it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
that's really cool to see that.
It was an amazing opportunity, and I am incredibly grateful to Larry for having confidence in me, as a young kid. Like, I was just in my 20s when I did that.
Crazy.
It was amazing.
Was that a project that they let you sort of have complete free reign on, or did you present them with ideas and they came back and said, yes to this, no to this?
Larry had a general idea of what was going to go in the restaurant and kind of gave me the basic overview. Said, okay, we want obviously Belle and the Beast having dinner together on the giant centerpiece. And then we want like the Be Our Guest inspired of like on the side, like the other sides of the murals. And we need a welcoming mural that has on the outside of the restaurant. So like we're gonna have the characters welcoming guests in, like they're peeking behind a curtain, excited for all the people to come in. So they had a general idea of what they wanted. And so, I took that and did my best. And of course, we went through natural revisions, and Larry was incredibly helpful in kind of guiding me. He was my mentor in that sense. And so through that, we came to designs that, worked for everyone. So again, like I consider myself very lucky to get to do that.
How free were you with able to use your own style in creating it? Were you able to deviate a bit from the the standard Disney look to where it's more your style?
Oh, sorry, my camera here. Let's see. Is that good?
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I definitely had free range in the roughs, but when it came to, I'm so sorry here.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. No, yeah. When it came to the final design, it had to be on model, and what was it? Like, I think it was Mark Henn who actually took some of the final stuff, and they had to make little changes on Belle's face, and so Mark Henn was one of the supervising animators for Belle, so naturally he has the final word on how she looks. So I had free range in the in the roughs and all the previs, and so final version obviously has to look as much like the characters as possible because Disney's pretty strict about that.
Right. Okay. I'm just wondering if you may be able to sneak a little something in.
I wish. Maybe next time.
So, well, changing topics a little bit, I wanted to ask you about this particular weird, crazy time we're in, and the importance of supporting small artists like yourself. If you could speak to a little bit about what support means to you and the importance and the necessity of it right now.
It's been an interesting journey so far. Like I had to cancel a bunch of my conventions, and the hard part has been finding a different source of income. You know, it's like I am doing some work with IDW right now, and unfortunately, you know, that works pretty light too, just like everyone else. And so I opened my Etsy shop and said, you know, hey everyone, like all the stuff I couldn't sell at WonderCon this year is going up online, and the amount of support I've gotten has been absolutely incredible, and I'm so grateful to, you know, everyone who was able to purchase something for me, because I know we're all stressed for money right now, and so I don't want to ask for help. You know, it's like I got to find my own way, as opposed to like, hey, buy my stuff. Sometimes that just feels weird, you know. So I think it's incredibly great. I mean, it's amazing that people wish to support artists like myself and others out there. So, you know, if you could, it feels weird to ask, man, but if you want to go support an artist, find their Patreon, even if it's just a couple bucks a month. You know, a lot of that goes a long way. And so, you know, again, I'm so grateful for it.
And trust me, we totally get what you're saying about like you don't want to ask for money, but at the same time, like we are basically trying to say that for artists right now. Like we want people to support you guys, so that's actually basically why we're doing this right now.
That's
but
amazing.
on that note, if people do want to buy your stuff, I think your Etsy shop is closed right now.
It is right now.
But where can they find you online and get notified, like when it opens back up and all that?
Oh yeah, I am on Instagram most of the time at Brianna Cherry Garcia. I'm on Twitter at Brianna Cherry, and if I do open my shop again, you know, I'm gonna make announcements there first thing, because like right now it's not so safe to go to the post office so often. So hopefully I'll be able to open that up again and hopefully do more sales.
Understandable. Well, even if you don't, everyone should go and follow Brianna, because she has amazing artwork that she posts. So thank you so much, Brianna, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.
And coming up next, we have a couple of folks from the California Browncoats, which James might know a thing or two about.
A little
He's
bit.
Gonna go run it. He's gonna go run and change shirts.
Carrie, had you met Brianna before?
I mean, very briefly at conventions. Like, I mean, I've shopped at her table.
She's sweet. What a nice.
I've,
all these people are so nice.
They are nice. All right. So Hannah and Linnell, if you guys want to take yourselves off mute and open up your video. I see Linnell at least. Hey Linnell, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. So why don't the three of you go ahead and introduce yourselves, and for anyone who doesn't know, tell us a little bit about the California Browncoats.
Okay, the California Browncoats are a registered 501c3 nonprofit in California. What our mission is that we raise money and awareness for good causes through the Browncoat fandom. So we ask a celebrity from our fandom to pick a charity, and then we go to a convention or an event and we do all the fundraising we can. We sell merchandise, we play charity games, sometimes we have auctions, and we do everything we can to just kind of spread the word about that charity and let people know and make money to give to them so they can keep doing good. And that's what we do.
Simple concept and so much work.
It is. And you know about that personally, right?
I do. I'm actually one of the 4 people who started the California Browncoats way back in 2007.
Wow. Yes. It is an honor to be talking to you at this time.
Thank you. Yeah, because I did it for technically for 5 years. We weren't incorporated until 2007, but we started in 2005 at Comic-Con in 2005. And I worked all the way through, I think, 2010 convention, and retired in 2011. And it was so rewarding and so much work. So how did you guys get involved in doing the work?
The crew before us, they've been doing it for quite some time as well. I'm Linnell's husband.
Yeah.
So
that's why he's doing it, because
and it is a ton of work.
I don't think they say no.
It's definitely harder than what I do for a living, but we got into this. The previous group who had done it for quite some time, they were getting overworked, and you know, it was their time to hang it up, and they put it out there on, I think, Twitter or somewhere.
They sent on, I think, an email is how I got it. I think they put it everywhere, but I got the email.
But they asked for somebody to take over the organization. So Linnell asked me, "What do you think?" And I'm like,
well, what I volunteered to do actually was the social networking part, because that was one of the jobs that they said they needed to cover, and I was like, oh, I already do a lot of that social media coverage, so I can do that. And they said, well, without a president, we can't do anything. So that's how I got to be the president, is because I was like, oh, I guess I gotta do that first. So now I do both social media and I'm the president.
That's how we all got involved. It's like, oh, something needs to be done. I guess you'll do it. It's like, oh, thanks.
You see a hole, you have to fix it, to fill it. So.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and they needed 5 board members, and they'd only had 4 people volunteer, and so being Linnell's friend, I got not dragged, but asked to join as well.
And who are you? You're Hannah?
Yes, I'm Hannah. I'm in charge of the charity side and our talent relations. So I reach out to all of the celebrities that are in our fandom and ask them to be a part of our events, and choose the charity for each event. And so we can raise money in their name and for a specific charity that they choose. And that means something to them.
And on that same note, I want to talk about the Alzheimer's Association. So you guys normally do a big fundraiser. Like you said, your main mission is to help raise money for charities and nonprofits. And this year, the nonprofit would have been the Alzheimer's Association. Can you tell our readers a little bit about the Alzheimer's Association and also how they can support?
Yes, absolutely. We picked this charity through Sean, who was he played Dr. Simon Tam. And I don't know if anybody besides us obsessively follows his social media, but we discovered that he was currently taking care of his dad, who was suffering from Alzheimer's. And, we felt like a lot of us on the board were touched by Alzheimer's, and it's something that is, it's very personal. And so we actually reached out to him and we said that we would love to support Alzheimer's Association in your name. And he loved the idea. He sent us a bunch of stuff. And so we were planning, of course, like we're personally involved with all the charities. All the charities are great, but this one I think was very personal to me. And I really was looking forward to this. I was very passionate about it. And of course, then WonderCon was canceled, and every con for the foreseeable future is canceled. So it's been really hard. But we decided to do a GoFundMe. So we have something online. We're kind of treating it like our charity chopstick game. So everybody who donates is going to get a little prize from us as long as supplies last. Just to let people know that this is something it's a really beautiful and important kind of thing to save our elderly people, to save our own minds. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get Alzheimer's. Like it's guaranteed. There's so much of it in my family, and so it touches. Even if it doesn't touch your grandparents, it could touch you. And so we felt like it's worth doing, even if there's no convention. So we put something online, and you can find it on GoFundMe. If you just search California Browncoats, it's the only GoFundMe that is listed under the California Browncoats. So it's really simple and easy to find.
So I also just tweeted out a link as well if you guys want to find it that way. So
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it. We do have links on our social media. We have a link pinned to the top of our Twitter. We have a link on our Facebook. There's a link on our website, californiabrowncoats.org. And like I said, if you make a donation and DM or email us your mailing address, we'll send you something to say thank you, because we think it's really important. And especially right now, when the world is kind of a terrible, scary place, I think it gives us a sense of like connection to be working to make that place better. even if we're stuck in our houses and we can't go out.
Absolutely.
I have a question about the universe that you guys celebrate and raise this money for. Why do you folks think that there's such a passion for the show and for the movie, even though it's been 14 some years since there's been anything new except for the line of comics that Dark Horse has done? Why do you think, what is it about that property, those properties that carries on the flame and the torch?
I do want to make a correction. There is also a second line comic coming out now from Boom Studios. They've continued it. So there are still stories being written, but you're right. It's something that in a lot of ways is kind of dead. Everything new that's coming out is fan based. There's nothing from the creator. And I think that people are still really passionate about it because it was just a really great story. It still is a really great timeless story that people relate to. And I think that the people who relate to it very passionately. It really touches something, I think, in us who feel a little bit like outsiders and feel like we feel that struggle to survive, right now. And so I think that people really connect to that, and it makes you kind of hungry to hear more about how these people got on this edge, and I think that's just what keeps people curious about it.
How would you sell the series to someone who's never watched it? It's hard for me to believe that there are people out there who never watched it, but let's say somebody like my mom who has been staying home and looking for new TV shows to watch. Like, how would you sell it to somebody who has never watched it?
I tell people that, where do you start? It's just such a good show. But I usually tell people it's like a Western, and there's sci-fi, and there's all these things mashed together that you've never really tasted the flavor of. It's going to be something that, for the most part, is totally new to you, and that's worthwhile. I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah, basically, space and cowboys, and
space cowboys.
Yeah,
and characters and story and comedy and action, and it's basically a melting pot of different genres and incredible writing, great acting, and it's all just thrown into one mix, and it produced a half a season of awesomeness.
It did, and stories, novels. There are still novels being written, and there are things that just like that story, that glimpse we got was so thin. It was like this thin little peek, but people are still so passionate that there are novels and there are comics and there are still there's fan fiction being written all the time. It's just such an entrancing kind of vision into a world, and it just keeps people going.
And we still Can't Stop the Serenity screening too, and that people still come out to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool, even after all these years.
Yeah, those
even though even though they had such like a small airing, with only the half the season, the movie, like they did such a great job of capturing the characters and creating the characters in that small amount of time that people are already like feel like they know them. And so I think that's another reason why people are still wanting to be involved and continuing to write the fan fiction and reading the comics and stuff like that. They want to continue to get to know those friends, people that they feel like are friends.
So on the line of why the passion is still going, other fan groups have done things for charity work over the years. The Harry Potter fandom, the 501st through Star Wars. How do the Browncoats stand out among all of those and keep going? And how do they basically? Why do the Browncoats stand out? I mean, it's just like there's all these different fandoms. I think I might know the answer, but I want to hear what you guys think.
I think that Browncoats are a family. They tend to see each other as a family. A convention is not just a place to like buy a mug or buy a hat. It's a place where you see other Browncoats. You share what's going on in your life. You share what you love about the fandom or stories about how you met certain people. And there are new fans coming in. It's not that we're just this group of like so many people of a certain age who watch the show. There are new people, but I think that there is this kind of like love, this family feeling that keeps bringing people in and keeps people close by. And that's not to say that those other fandoms don't have that, but I think that Browncoats are a peculiar breed. We are very passionate about our thing that is dead in the water, and we're passionate about each other, and we really support each other, and I think that that makes a difference.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah, that's the thing. The Browncoat fandom is actually what got me to get involved in conventions more, and get more involved in stuff. So it's definitely something about it that is special that you can feel when you're hanging out with other Browncoats.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I am going to miss like dearly from actually being at a physical con, whereas WonderCon or Comic-Con is all the people that still cosplay the characters from Firefly. And you see Captain Reynolds around, all the characters, you see a lot of Jane hats. It's pretty awesome that that's still going.
It's super awesome. So unfortunately, we are trying to keep to a schedule, but before we let you guys go, why don't you tell everyone where they can find the Browncoats? And again, we tweeted out that link, and the link is all over your social and website for the Alzheimer's Association. Please go support if you can. But just let our listeners know where they can find the Browncoats.
Okay, so we have a website, californiabrowncoats.org. We also just started an Etsy shop of the things that we designed, and that's on Etsy shop California Browncoats. But if you search for California Browncoats, we're the only shop that will come up. And then of course we're on Twitter, and we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook, and
call something
California Browncoats.
CA Browncoats.
CA Browncoats. It is. I should know that, but I'm always on it. I don't ever have to say it.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally get it. Totally get it. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on to talk about such a wonderful cause.
Thank you guys so much. We're so grateful for all the support that your organization has given that. So thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Well, as we say goodbye to the Browncoats, we get to say hello to artist Chris Uminga. Maybe.
Hello?
Where are you at, Chris?
I can
Chris,
see.
we can hear you. We can't see you.
All right. Let me try to figure this out.
Is there an option in the bottom left that says like start video?
Yep. Hold on.
Okay. There we go. Hey, Chris.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're good.
Doing
So
well.
for anybody who doesn't know, why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am an artist working in comics. I've done stuff with Disney, DC Collectibles, IDW, some stuff with Marvel. So I have my hand in a little bit of everything.
Yes, you definitely do.
Yeah.
I'm completely entranced by the Legos behind him right now.
Yeah. I still have.
I see. Is that the fish? I see the is that the fishing house, the fishing store, and the cinema, and the haunted house.
Mm-hmm. The haunted house, the cinema, the barber shop, pool shop, the bistro, and then I have little Ghostbuster, the Ecto-1. A Wally is back there, and I still have another set put together that I've been putting off because it's the diner set. It's a big diner modular set, so I need to find shelf space for it.
That's a nice
well,
setup.
I think you at least have time now to put it together.
That's true.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So
looking out the window.
Indeed. So you have an incredibly unique style.
Oh, thank you.
What influenced that style?
So it was always just like how I naturally drew. When I first started trying to do comics, I was trying to draw how I thought other people would want me to draw, or how companies would expect someone to draw if you want it to be an editorial. So I wasn't really being kind of true to myself, and I was trying to, draw like Jim Lee, and I couldn't do it. So I was doing a gallery show, and I was able to draw how I would normally draw in my sketchbook. And someone's like, man, that's really good. You should just do that, draw that way. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get work that way. And they're like, if your art's good enough, they'll find you. So it's a kind of a mashup of like some graffiti art and some sculptural elements I took from people I knew. And it's just a hodgepodge of kind of everything that I've absorbed since I was little.
Well, I love your style. I think the stuff that you do is so cool. And in fact, James, I think we have a couple pieces that we can show off, don't we?
We do.
Open those up. Let's see what you got. Oh, look at that Kermit. Beetlejuice. Yeah, I started doing these, like, I call them like their little family trees pieces, and I would, take a central character and kind of like in a ordinate way surround him with, his cast members or their cast members. And Beetlejuice has always been a kind of a favorite movie of mine. So this was like a fun piece I started doing last year. And then the little texture in the background of the purple is a picture of a tree that was in front of my parents' house before, they had to cut it down. So it's a little reminder of where I came from.
Oh.
So this was, so we do have a lot of time because we're all isolated. And so I started listening to like just podcasts and vlogs, and I love wrestling. And this is from when I was little. I just started drawing all these wrestling characters, and my buddies were like, oh, you should draw everybody. So it became my kind of nightly, cool down exercise. And I was doing more of my old school pose and kind of the bigger blanker eyes instead of adding some pupils like I've been doing lately. So it's been a good kind of shut your brain off and just kind of have fun drawing, nostalgia, which is kind of keeping me sane right now. Big horror nut. So anytime I get a chance to draw clowns or anything scary, it's a fun thing. And the original It miniseries is one of my favorite things. And I love the new movie. So people would always ask me, when are you going to draw them together? So this started out as a sketch on a plane coming back from, I think, WonderCon last year. Oh, WonderCon.
Simpler time.
The Office is it's probably one of my top 3 favorite things in the world. So much so that my girlfriend hates that I've watched it so many times. It's just like, it's so comforting, and it's always funny. It's always like just great. So I started doing little sketches every day, and then people were just like, well, are they going to be stickers? Are they going to be something? So I just kind of put this together for other office nuts.
I love this piece a lot because you can tell everything about every person's personality just by the small amount of detail that you've included.
Thank you.
That's really good.
I'm really a big fan of the Stanley. The Stanley drawing is one of my favorites. And Kevin, you have to do the chili because you have to draw him. Even though I love the wedding episode where he puts his feet in the ice cooler, because it's probably one of the most disgusting things.
But yeah, you can't go wrong with the chili. That's an amazing intro to an episode.
I just want to see the scene after he scoops it all back up. Like, does he try to serve it to people, or?
Well, did you see that they just did a oral history of that episode? I think somewhere, and they talked about it, that they actually did have on the written page something about after where he did like have it ready to serve by the time people got in or something like that. Search it out. I think they do talk about it a little bit somewhere.
I know that Jenna Fisher and the actress plays Angela, they have a podcast where they talk about Office episodes, and they go over certain aspects of it. They'll talk about the script. So there's so much content right now to absorb, which is good.
Yes, keeping us busy.
Yeah, TMNT. I'm an 80s kid, 90s kid. So this is my childhood. I remember when it first came out, the cartoon, and I remember having my mom drive me to the mall because that's where the only comic shop was, and I bought the black and white turtle book, and it was not the same as the cartoon. But I've always loved these guys, and they're always such a fun thing to draw.
Yeah, imagine those 8 and 9-year-olds going in to pick up the tools. Not exactly for kids.
Because I watched on Netflix, they have the show The Toys That Made Us.
Yes.
And that episode where they talk about Ninja Turtles and the fact that it was this kind of rated R type comic that was being turned into this kids property was kind of crazy, because I do remember picking it up and being like, well, it's in black and white. How do I know who Michelangelo is? He's not really that excited about pizza, but my Undertaker. Again, big wrestling nerd. So this was another piece that I kind of wanted to work on. And this was, I think last week. This was my cool down last week.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's just like, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm just like, it's just trying to keep my mind busy and keep distracting myself with things that are comforting. I think it's something we're all kind of do right now. So,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of things that we're missing, you go to a lot of conventions.
Yeah.
While we're staying at home, is there something that you didn't expect you would be missing that you are, or something that you expected to be missing but really aren't?
I think it's the same as how Brianna was saying. You're home, you do conventions all year long. I'll do one a month, or maybe sometimes even 2 in the beginning of the year, because that's when they're all booked. And you get tired initially of like, oh man, I'm home for 3 days and I got to get everything done. I got to play with the dogs. I got to figure stuff out. I miss traveling. Like, I miss seeing friends. I mean, as an artist, I work from home, so I'm isolated a lot already. And you find yourself having more convention friends, more artist friends that you see, you guys know, at shows, and that's where the camaraderie is. You go out to dinner, you laugh, you tell stories. So I kind of miss that, and I miss that probably more than I thought I would. I don't miss being anxious. Like, I was at C2E2, and that was kind of just at the beginning of all this kind of scariness. And I remember everybody was just kind of anxious and nervous. But now, fingers crossed, we're all hoping San Diego happens, and in some capacity, or sometime this year. So fingers crossed. Because I think we met for the first time last year at San Diego, like in person, face to face. But I've been following you guys a lot on Twitter, so it's always nice to put a face with someone that you only know online. And that's a great thing about conventions, is getting to meet people that you only know, on Twitter or Instagram.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. So even though there is no convention, I believe your commissions are still open, right?
Yeah, I started doing these little black and white head commissions for fun. And it's again a good warm up every morning. It's a good kind of way to keep myself occupied, because a lot of the things I was working on, everything is now on pause. Like, I think everyone's life, and just waiting for the go ahead to start talking about things again and start working on things again. So it's a good way to keep my skills sharp and to sharpen up a little bit, and just, again, not only just, stare out the window.
Yes, absolutely. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about commissions, though, especially doing commissions versus your regular work, because obviously in a commission, you're drawing someone else's requests. Do you feel that kind of limits you, or do you find that sometimes it actually inspires you because it might be something you wouldn't have thought of?
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. A lot of times that's when you get most excited about a commission, is when it's something you really haven't drawn before, or something someone hasn't requested a million times. So when you get a request of like, anything that's out of the realm of, normal fandom, it's pretty exciting. And then you get kind of amped up to get working on it. That's why, when they come in, you start looking for the ones that are a little bit different. And it just helps too to be able to draw things that aren't in your wheelhouse all the time. So commissions are a great thing. And plus it's fun to get original art. And so every time a friend putting up their commissions, you get, oh wow, that's really awesome line technique. I'm going to steal that. So
Can you share the most requested character from you? Can I guess? I would guess somebody like a Batman would be my guess.
Yeah, it's Batman and Joker are the two most requested. And then this past week, I got a lot of requests for like Snorks.
Really?
That is random.
From multiple different people.
That's amazing.
It was crazy because I did the 6 fan arts challenge. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I asked people, hey, give me some requests, and the Snorks was by far the top requested character, and I was like,
amazing.
And I was so happy. So I drew it and then I posted it, and it was literally like, hey, are you doing commissions? I want a Snork. I want a Snork. And I was just like,
You've tapped into unreached market, Chris.
yeah, I think it's that thing where like people forgot it existed, and then you see it and you go, oh my God, that's what I grew up
I
on.
loved that show as a kid. That's so funny. Wow.
It was so great because I was drawing it, and Chrissy was sitting here and she's like, what's a Snork? And I said, what? And I said,
I hope you sang the theme song to her.
it was basically like, it's like a sea smurf kind of. And she was just giving me the blankest stare, and I had to show it to her, and she just said, she's just so unimpressed about it. So it's like, Snorks are the best. I still have a Snork somewhere in my toy collection too.
Oh, I absolutely still own some Snorks.
Yeah, Snorks are dope. But one of the weirdest commission requests I ever got was there's a collector who has artists draw his parrot as different Marvel characters, and he has I think 4 or 5 big, thick moleskin type books of his parrot as like the Punisher, Thanos, Galactus, and I had to draw his parrot as MODOK. And I think that's one of the weirder, but still one of the best commission requests I ever got.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I just want to go to this guy's house and see like what's going on. Like, because parrots live a long time, man. This guy's got
so he can just keep bringing that parrot out and like, draw this, please.
Just keep drawing different. Well, that's, I want to see the parrot as the Hulk, but I hope he goes outside of Marvel and starts getting some IDW or some Boom characters, because then you want to see like his parrot as Hack Slash or something like that.
Right? Did the parrot want to branch out? Come on.
I know. Yeah, stop boxing this parrot
Don't
in.
put that parrot in a box.
Yeah.
No.
2020, man. Let that parrot live.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a really serious question. I hesitate to ask because I don't want to bring the room down at all, but this is a really important question. And I was wondering if you could tell me if you think Carol Baskin killed her husband.
Oh my God. Well, one, I'm going to say allegedly, because I'm pretty sure she will sue all of us. Oh, she 100% killed him.
Agreed.
Oh, give me a break. Like when she said, you want a tiger to eat, you cover him in sardine oil. You're like, that's how she got rid of the husband. He is dead. And
she's giving away her secrets.
I know. And I feel so, part of me just feels really sorry for her new husband, because that guy must walk on eggshells all the time, because he's living on borrowed time, allegedly.
Allegedly yes.
But that was the thing too. Like last night I was talking to someone, and I had drawn a bunch of every day I drew like a Tiger King character. And he messaged me. He works for a company that does apparel and manufacturing. He's like, we tried to get the Tiger King license because we were going to do some stuff, and we're going to have you work on it, but we couldn't get it. We couldn't get it done. And I was just like, oh God, that's like,
that would have been amazing.
Why is 2020 the worst right now?
Is that your dream project then? Tiger
yeah,
King?
I think right now, this week it is, because Joe Exotic, I don't know. I preach Joe Exotic to everyone that will listen. He's an awful person, but still.
No, absolutely. I live in Oklahoma, so we've known about Joe Exotic for years.
I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah, Carrie, you've got like personal knowledge of him.
I've spoken to him on the phone.
Oh.
What?
In my old job, yeah, we sold advertising to him. Yep.
I'm surprised he could read. Like, I'll only know is I want to write him in jail, and I want to send him, the things I drew. I'm just like, this also happened after I watched Making a Murderer, so I probably should avoid those Netflix things where I become kind of that Stockholm syndrome type person where now I'm like infatuated with the criminal. But I think there's supposed to be a new episode this week, which is exciting.
Yeah, I heard that. Okay, so we're running out of time here, but I want to ask this, and on a slightly more serious note, how important is it to support small artists like yourself during this crazy time?
It's really important, especially now because everything is kind of getting put on pause. Like projects we're all kind of either working on or contracted to are on pause, and there's no guarantee they're all coming back. So if you do have an artist that you like that isn't on a major book or isn't, working on something like major for one of the big two, and they're doing a Patreon or having a sticker sale or anything, just, if you can support them, even if you can't, just share their work. And because, that's the thing about this kind of community is that we're all connected. Like, I've met you guys once, but I feel like we could definitely hang out and get drinks and talk about Tiger King. Yeah. And that's the great thing about art and comics and everything. It just brings everybody together. So if you can support, if you can't share, send a nice comment. We have to take care of each other right now. That's probably the most important thing, and hope that this kind of gets figured out soon and we can get back to traveling and seeing each other
and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Having good times. So.
I think it's definitely important not to assume that someone that you're a fan of, that if they get to the point where they need help, that they're actually going to ask for it. I think we should just all assume that everybody could use a little bit of extra help and extra support right now. So, don't wait for someone to say, please help me by buying this. You should just assume they need the help, and we should proactively be trying to help them, which I think is what we've been trying to do.
Even going out and supporting your local comic shop. That's the one way you can help. Is like today I drove 40 minutes to go buy 2 trades just because I wanted to help my buddy.
Oh, bless you.
He runs a small shop and he's super nervous because now I'm in Connecticut and we're shut down until end of May.
Yep.
And just like the rest of the country is like, there's just this big question mark hanging over all of us. When can we kind of get back to normal, and what's the new normal going to be? So it's go out and take care of each other, support everybody, and, wave at 6 feet apart. Don't be afraid of people, even though I'm petrified because I'm a germaphobe. Like a lot of anxiety, but just be nice to everybody. And then when we get back to all this, start doing the fist bumps and the elbows, and slowly the handshaking will come back. But
speaking of supporting people, how can people support you and where can they find you online?
Okay, so I primarily now post most of my work on Instagram, and that's at Uminga720, Twitter as well, and I have my shop link in my profile, and so I'm running sales on prints and commissions, and I share a lot of work with my friends too. So I just want everybody to do as well as we can right now, and I want everybody to get through this, and at the end just kind of not come out as damaged as everyone's afraid is gonna happen. Maybe we'll come out a little bit scraped, but I think we'll come out fine if we all kind of take care of each other. So
we love your work. We love you. So thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today and talking Tiger King with us.
Thank you for doing this, and it's a great thing you guys are doing. It's giving everybody a little bit of a time out from the worry. So, and everyone's super bummed, man. I was supposed to be at Disneyland on Monday.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to look at pictures on Monday, pretend I'm on a ride.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So coming up next, we have our lovely friend. Well, actually, first, Erin, we're going to say goodbye to you very sadly. And
thank you for having me.
Yes, and happy birthday, Erin.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I miss you guys. Please take care of each other and enjoy the rest of the show. Go online, go buy some stuff, or at least maybe retweet some people. If you can't buy anything, just support them how you can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you. We'll
for
see you
joining us,
soon.
Erin.
Bye.
Bye. And joining us now is Kim Twombly, aka Outside Comic-Con. Kim.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
And also joining us is our lovely friend Todd Masters of Toddland. who I think got scared and muted himself.
I
Hey,
did. I
Todd.
was like, that's not me. Wait, no, that is me.
We're doing this quick. But yeah, so we can go long on this. Like at this point, we're good. We can do whatever. You have a great background behind you. Love that.
Thank you. It's this whole virtual Zoom background is way easier than actually building the booth. So we're just gonna be doing virtual cons from now on. So it'll be us in front of a big screen now, and yeah, you can look at us on your phone now instead of going to the booth.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so James, what order do we want to do this? And do we want to do the giveaway at the end or the start?
Let's just do it now.
Okay, let's do it. So we did a fun little contest where we had folks basically use Bob's mustache from Bob's Burgers and put it on anything they wanted. And we let you, Todd, choose our winners, and they will get some fun prize packs, and we will be messaging all of these winners here later today when this podcast ends. But James, do you want to show off our winners with your lovely screen sharing feature?
Here is number 1.
Yeah, in no particular order. We just picked all 4 because you guys, it's kind of like nominating somebody to be your best man at a wedding. Like you're like, oh, it's a huge honor, but now it's a lot of pressure and I don't want to screw this up. So I'm like, we're just going to pick 4. This one is Alan Liu because he gave them both Bob's mustaches and they actually gave H. John Benjamin, who is Bob, a Bob's mustache. So
I think that's fair.
Yeah, you're getting a little, what is it, Inception there with Bobception, like giving Bob a Bob mustache. So that one. This one is who did
they
this
went above
one?
and beyond. We
Yeah,
talked
they
about
did.
this last night.
I think that one's BG Shenanigans, and she didn't want to just do Bob. She had to do Linda too, so she did Linda on the little dog, and then that's a box of our old chef cat from like a con mystery item a couple years ago, and that's actually her Mr. Business. So she put the Mr. Business hat on her Mr. Business and the Bob's mustache and the Linda. So we're like, well, yeah, you went above and beyond. So definitely an honor student there.
Yes, we were saying last night she deserved extra credit.
Yep, that's why she's up there. And then this one was, I think, Granite Grizz. I think he submitted like 9 things. And
He did, and they were all amazing.
Yeah, they were all great. Like, you gave love to our buddies over at Symbiote and put like mustaches on the pocket Mortys. And I didn't know you could improve a Jim Lee sketch, but apparently you can. So yeah, I'm like, I just like how serious Batman is with the mustache. So we're like, yeah, it was hard to pick which one of his, but yeah, his were all awesome.
That's 70s Batman right there.
Yeah, it's so good. And then there was a lot of pets, and they're all adorable, and all the cats are super adorable, and the fans know that I'm a sucker for them. But this one's actually named Jean, and she calls him Little Bob, and he had a scarf on. So you put a scarf on a pet and a mustache, I'm easy. Yeah, 100%. That was White Oprah.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, we will be messaging all of our winners after this is over to get your preferences and your addresses. But thank you to everybody who entered that. It was super fun to see what you all did.
Yeah, like we were watching the Twitter feed yesterday. I'm like, oh my god, oh this is funny. Oh, somebody put one on a horse. Like that was really funny. I wish we would have thought of it.
Like if we have a stupid idea, we're like, no, this is the one we're going with. So.
Well, and that's how like you guys are like, hey, we with this idea. I'm like, yeah, of course. Like with us, the dumber the better, and it ended up being super funny.
Same.
So it was perfect.
I had a really, really dumb idea, but it would have made us do a little bit of work. And we're like, nah, none of that.
No. Absolutely not.
So no convention this weekend, and we're asking this of everybody. What is something about going to conventions that you didn't expect you would be missing, and or something that you expected you would be missing, but really are not?
Honestly, like something I didn't expect to be missing was setup, because I hate setting up and we hate building. But I think, I don't know, there's like a weird energy to when you're building the booth and when you're setting up and everybody else is kind of setting up and you're helping everybody wheel everything in and you're arguing with Freeman about electricity. And it's just, there's like a different energy that's in there when you're building. And I didn't think I'd miss that. And I kind of do. So like that was kind of off for me.
That may be how we know that you're insane, though.
Oh, you guys have known that for years.
I'm like, I've seen you like as you're building. Like it's not pretty.
No, it's a little frantic. Like, and my crew usually knows, just don't ask Todd what he wants for lunch. Just bring it and set it out, and it'll happen. And yeah, it's setup is always stressful because zip ties get lost and electricity doesn't work and TV screens break. And I mean, by the time we open the doors, it looks great, but it's a little bit of a road to get there.
That huge sense of accomplishment, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's always like my favorite moment at Comic-Con at SDCC is when they announce over the loudspeaker that Comic-Con's now open. Like that, there's just so much energy and so much work for the whole year to get to that, and then they announce it, like the hair on the back of your neck stands up. It's like listening to like When You Wish Upon a Star on Main Street. It's like that moment that you're like, it's too late now. We're doing this. Like it's either right or it's not, and you just go with it. I kind of miss that.
Yeah. All right. Happy things. I think, Carrie, you might want to ask about this one.
Sure. So your exclusives for WonderCon this year are amazing, as they always are.
Thank you.
And I think I talked at least to my team about this. I think it's funny because I feel like you were super ahead of the curve this year, because I know you were already thinking about opening up your exclusives for shipping and to everyone, like even before all of this went down.
Yeah, like we were really worried about even if CCI, Comic-Con International, even if CCI didn't call off WonderCon, we were going to offer probably about half of it, maybe 3/4 of it online for everybody. And we were talking about doing it a couple different ways. Like, you got to send us a picture of your badge, cross everything out, but we know you have one with your name on it, so you can order, just because we didn't want anybody to feel not safe going to the con. So we wanted to still make sure everybody could get it. And then we were testing a few things too, like, well, maybe let's try 4 t-shirts everybody can buy, but then 4 t-shirts only con goers can buy. Just because, like, we don't, it's a very fine mix of making things exclusive to the convention. So they're still special for everybody who gets to go, but then also not excluding anybody who wants it, and then forcing them to eBay. So it's a really hard mix for us to be like, nope, you got to be there to get it. But also, we don't want the kid to spend $100 on eBay to get the t-shirt if he doesn't have a friend going. So it's a hard mix with us.
And honestly, though, that's what I love about you guys, is like, you guys actually think about that. So many companies would be like, yeah, like either let him buy it on eBay, or like, we don't care. Like, we just want to make as much money as we can. So I love that you guys always think about stuff like that. So
yeah, well, we're fans. Like, all we've ever done as a company is we think about what works for us at other booths and what doesn't, and then how we want to get things. Like, it's cool that it's an exclusive, but I can't get through Hasbro's line right now. And like, hey, Funko, super cool. I'll buy it at Hot Topic. I just want it. I don't care that it's a con exclusive. I just like that one. I don't care what stickers on it. Like, I like they do that. But yeah, that we're fans first. And I mean, I think everybody at our booth knows, like, they can walk up and be like, hey, I got that Star Wars thing from Hasbro. And I'm like, yeah, cool. There's no line for you. That's how this works. Like, I think everybody just tries to help each other out, and because we're fans and we're nerds too. Like, we just want people to get the stuff that they like.
Yeah. That's awesome. I wanted to ask, did you have a favorite of your exclusives this year? Picking out?
It's kind of hard because we love Farmer Bob. Like, the Farmer Bob graphic that we did with Bob as the mustache, and Bob is like the green bean, and Bob is the burger. Like, that one's just hilarious because it's kind of like a mini acid trip. So we kind of love that graphic. And then Super Tina's super fun. But the thing that's the sleeper thing that we thought was super goofy is the stupid Madness Castle shirts. Everybody's freaking out about the Madness Castle tie-dyed shirt. We're like, that was kind of a joke. Okay. Like, it's like our 3rd best-selling t-shirt. So we have no clue what we're doing ever. So we're like, it's Super Tina. Nope, everybody's buying the tie-dyed Madness Castle shirt.
All right, so you kind of answered it when you were talking about the convention, the opening moment, but is there a specific moment that stands out to you that it's basically like, okay, this moment is what Comic-Con or WonderCon is all about, or just a favorite moment, or even a crazy one?
It's honestly, like, it's kind of ongoing for us. It's not like a singular moment. It's when the fans come up to us and we know them, because through the years we've been doing this for 6-8 years with all the properties. And a lot of the fans have become friends and we know them and we know their face and we know their cosplay. And then a lot of them, like they still wait in line and they come up and they look kind of sheepish to us. And then they'll usually start screaming or I'll start screaming and we'll run around and give them hugs and stuff. And I think it's just part of the community that you don't hug customers. That's not a thing. But like at Comic-Con, you don't not hug them. Like, so it's a very different thing. Like we kind of thrive off that energy of seeing these friends that you don't talk to every day that started as customers, but you know them now and you know them through Instagram and you know them through Twitter and you know their face and they're sharing their cosplay with you. I think that's our favorite thing, is because they're so proud to show off their cosplay and we're so stoked that they have it. So we're getting pictures with them, they're getting pictures with us. It's just a good, happy moment that doesn't really exist in the real world. But yeah, anytime we're interacting with the fans and having fun with them and joking around, like that's kind of our favorite moments of con. Because I mean, we're selling t-shirts, we're selling pins and stuff, but I think when everybody shares their fandom with us, and they're super excited to like show us like, hey, I got the Gene wallet last year, and they'll pull it out. Or they're like, I'm wearing your shirt from WonderCon last year. Like everybody's so proud of their stuff and it's awesome. Like that never gets old. Like that's super cool. Like, no, this is my favorite shirt of all time. I'm like, Stacy, that's her favorite shirt. And Stacy's like, I drew that. They're like, you drew that? And it's just, you can connect with everybody on a different level than just clicking and then sending a box.
Yeah.
Or even just like liking their tweet. And that's what it is. Like you guys know us very well and we're extremely genuine. And I think a lot of the vendors are. Like all of Artist Alley and like all the small press and all those guys, everybody, you get what you get. Like everybody's really genuine and they want to share their art with you and the fans want to share that they love it. And that's I think the magic of cons, like where you get wrapped up in it. You can get lost in trying to get exclusives and rushing around to panels and stuff. But I think it's those one-on-one moments of not getting rushed out of the line or waiting for one person to finish their sale so you can talk to Jay Salvador at Super Emo Friends. Because he's there and he's packing up his little packages as fast as he can and he's super nice. Like it's waiting to talk to Fat Rabbit because they're awesome.
I love them. I know.
They're the best. Like it's those moments where you get to interact with the fans one-on-one and they get to meet who they're giving money to. Like I'm like, you gave me your birthday money for a t-shirt. Thank you. Like that could have went anywhere. Like that's awesome that we made something that makes you happy and that you want to spend your money on.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It is cool. So I want to ask you though, in these crazy times, how important is it to support small artists and vendors right now?
Massive. There's a lot going on that I'm not going to be like doom and gloom and bum anybody out. But I think all the vendors and all the small businesses and medium-sized businesses and stuff all know what's going on. I don't know if the fans necessarily do. I think it's really difficult because they're like, oh, there's a stimulus package and everybody's getting unemployment and it's all handled, it's all taken care of. None of us are. Not one of us is ever going to see a dime from any of it. And what happens is you've got a lot of us that make our money off cons all year, and every con's been canceled. So we don't have a second source of income because for a lot of us, like a lot of the artists and a lot of us are kind of rebels. Like this is what we do. We don't have 9 to 5s. Like we work off freelance gigs when Nickelodeon calls. Like we're going to start drawing Star Wars stuff when Disney needs something handled for a project for DisneyStore.com. Like when DC needs hats made for their staff, we're going to do it. And that's kind of how we all supplement our income outside of cons. And a lot of that work is all dried up right now. So we're not getting the external contracts anymore. And then we can't make our own money from the cons. Like everybody does a good job of, as creative as we all are, everybody's pretty good at math. So we know where we need to be and what we need to do every year. And it's very mathematical what has to happen. But I know a lot of people are pushing for Comic-Con to cancel and to get answers and stuff, but honestly, that's terrifying for a lot of us. Like if Comic-Con,
I totally get that.
Like if Comic-Con physically cancels, I don't know if we're still around. And that's terrifying for me. And it's just because, well, no, it's like we make 90% of our income at Comic-Con. and we can't do it without being there.
So in the interim, what can people do to support small artists and vendors like yourself?
I think the best thing they can do is honestly get online to their websites and then support them if they already have a shop. If they don't have a shop, almost everybody has an Instagram and a Twitter. Reach out to them. Like now's the absolute perfect time to hit them up to be like, you know what? I could never, they're way too busy to draw a Christmas card for me this year. Right now, we're not. Like, so if you've got a favorite artist, hit them up. Like, you don't know, because they're gonna be like, yeah, here's the deal. I really want you to draw this picture of my cat. I know it's stupid, but can I get a quote on it? You know what? They might be a $700 portrait artist that'll be like, you know what? $100, is that cool? Because everybody's just willing to work right now. And you don't go out and lowball people. Just kind of ask them what you think is fair. But now I think is the time to start hitting everybody up. The worst thing they can say is no, but thank you for loving my art. But yeah, if you have a favorite vendor you always see at WonderCon, reach out to them and just be like, hey, we missed you guys this year. I love what you do. If you got anything online, let me know. A lot of fans have reached out to us. They're like, we miss you. We ordered online. It's great. Like we went through all the orders from the drop this week, and everybody wrote a note. They're like, we miss seeing you guys. We love you guys. This is awesome. Hopefully we see you in San Diego. And it's a little note on an order, but honestly, that kind of fills our soul a little bit. Like that's nice that you took the time to order something from our goofy little site and that you wrote a note saying that you liked what we did. Like that is kind of why we do this. Well, and so we can order guac at Chipotle. But it's nice to know that your stuff's appreciated.
It's excellent priorities.
Absolutely.
So switching it up a little bit to have a little bit of fun, which is the better Star Wars name? Ellen Sleazebagano or Therm Scissor Punch?
Well, what are they? Are they aliens? Are they Ewoks? Well,
Sleazebagano is the guy with the death sticks.
Okay.
And Therm Scissor Punch is one of the card players in Solo. He's like basically a giant lobster.
I gotta go with Sleazebag. The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better name.
Okay.
I like that. Are those real Star Wars names?
Those are actual Star Wars names.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but it sounds like one of those like Star Wars name generators where you just like hit the button and you're like, okay, like first letter and pet's name. Sure, whatever.
No, actual characters with they're in visual dictionaries. So
I would believe it.
So we had Parrot in the chat suggested 2 burger names, which I will read to you. He suggested the WonderCon Onion Line Burger, which comes with potato computer chip fries.
Comes with a what?
Potato computer chip fries.
Okay.
And the Corn and Bean Burger, which comes with cornbread and 1 week of online streaming.
Ooh, no, that one's funny. I like that one.
So that might have to be the brainstorming session for the San Diego burger.
Oh God, I hope we're past that by then. But yeah, we haven't. We
celebrate the quarantine.
We haven't named the San Diego one yet. We have everything else kind of on deck and ready to go for Family Guy and American Dad. And then Bob's. We just have an endless arsenal of Bob stuff. And I'm super excited if we can pull a lot of this stuff off. Because right now things are tricky. Like the post office isn't shipping anything that's not food. And customs kind of just isn't working now. Like, so, okay, maybe there will be a Comic-Con. Who knows? So in all honesty, like it kind of helped us that WonderCon was online because the supply chain on everything is just a mess. Like, hey, can we print our thank you cards in our menus? Yeah, no, we don't work anymore. Oh, okay. I guess we'll hand draw our menus this year. Like it's just a whole new weird world of what we're up to. So we're really hoping and needing San Diego to happen. We have a plan if it does get called off due to safety reasons, where we will still have San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, regardless. So that will be happening, whether or not they have the con. But the city of San Diego and like all the vendors really need it to happen. And I know that's why they're holding out as long as they can to make the call, because I think the mayor of San Diego said they're already down like 220 million or something just from cons canceling. And that's I think the hard part. Like, I know all the fans are like, we want to book flights, and I'm like, we want to stay in business. Like, so it's very like, it's a very hard thing to do because every hotel room in San Diego is booked, as everybody knows, and that means every single restaurant's booked, and every single bar is booked, and every car is rented. So I think I forget, I was reading somewhere, but I think like downtown San Diego's revenue is like 60% Comic-Con, like for the year.
I believe it.
So that's why everybody's
I
like,
believe
let's
it.
just wait and do this. And then if the quarantine issue is still a thing, we may do something like the shipping thing. Like if people don't feel safe going, we'll do something like that. But we're always pretty good and pretty mindful. We want to keep everybody safe, because if a fan isn't around anymore, then that doesn't do us any good either. So we want everybody to stay safe and healthy and get what they want and buy our goofy little fun stuff that we get to make.
So speaking of that, where can they buy your goofy little fun stuff?
All of our goofy little fun stuff is on toddland.com, like TODDLAND.com. And we've got a bunch of different sections, but the first one's Bob's Burgers. And then we've got Family Guy and we've got American Dad. And then for WonderCon, we traditionally only do Bob's. So all the WonderCon exclusives are under Bob's Burgers. And they can get those, and the t-shirts and the totes are we did this year as a timed exclusive. Yeah, so it's a timed edition until tomorrow night. So until Sunday night, they can still get on and buy everything. I think everything comes extra small through 4X. I think the tie-dyes come up to 3X. And then tomorrow night, like at the end of the day, we'll shut it down. So all the tees will be sold out after that, and all the totes will be sold out. The stickers we always carry over, just because they're always fun and those are easy. So we'll have those for probably all of 2020. And then the pins, I know some have already sold out, but the pins are limited edition. Most of them are between 100 and 150 pieces. And then those, when they're gone, they're gone. So the main difference is, like for t-shirts, we can wait till people order them to get them, because it takes us a week to make t-shirts. We're pretty quick. Stickers are a week, totes are a week, but pins take around 6 to 8. So we have to guess how many we're going to sell. And that always gets super risky and super scary, because we never know what's going to work. Like nope, this is definitely the number one pin. Buy 600 of it. And the one that we buy 80 of is the one that sells out in 20 seconds, because we have no clue what we're doing half the time. So it's good. But I think we bought enough where nothing sold out in the first hour. So I think everybody had a chance to get everything they wanted.
Good.
And that's always our goal, is we get it. Especially right now, we don't want to add stress or anxiety to anybody. So you got until tomorrow night, till Sunday night to grab tees and totes, and then stickers, and then pins till they sell out.
And we will tweet a reminder tomorrow to people that it is the last day. But it's some great stuff this year. You guys always do amazing stuff. And
thank you.
We thank you so much, Todd, for coming on and talking to us today.
Thanks for having me. You guys are always awesome, and you guys we have a lot of number one fans, but you guys have always been our biggest fan, and we wouldn't be where we were without you guys. So we love you guys.
We love you too. Virtual high five.
Yeah, virtual high five.
Thank you, Todd.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, Todd. All right, so we are almost done here, guys. We have one last guest, which is our very own Sean Marshall. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Hey, how are you all? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you
Awesome.
for being patient. We let
Yeah.
the last two go over a little bit because we were like, well, why not?
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. That's totally cool. How are you all doing?
Good, good. James is he's been changing shirts between every
he's getting
guest
faster, I
to
There
make
we
it
go.
like he is. He's getting real fast to make it like a real con experience.
You know what's so
He's
funny?
getting a
So
full
I
con
was watching
experience
this.
in 3 hours.
Watching this since noon, I got used to just kind of sitting here like this, and suddenly I'm like, oh, I have to do things. So apologies to Todd. I was just kind of listening. So Sean, I'll try to be.
Oh, you're okay. You're okay.
Okay. So Sean, obviously this is a crazy time. Well, actually, first of all, Sean, for anyone who doesn't know, everyone should know if you pay attention to our blog, but why don't you tell us a little bit about Parks and Cons for anyone who may not know?
Parks and Cons is a website, YouTube channel, podcast that is really all about covering theme parks and pop culture conventions. So that is everything that's obviously closed right now, as with a lot of things that people cover or do. But really our tagline has always been to be able to kind of play along from home. So to try to share things in real time as quick as possibly. Before streaming was a thing, we try to get things on YouTube like instantly. I mean, we still do, but it's a little different now with streaming and stuff like that. We just passed 500 podcasts, so we do a lot of podcasting, a lot of videos. Thank you. And yeah, so that's really it. Last year we covered 61 conventions that ranged from huge stuff like Comic-Con and D23 Expo to tiny stuff like, I don't know, the Claremont Comic Show, which is like a one room, you know, couple vendors type of thing.
So I have been so impressed because, I mean, obviously your content has changed because things are not open, but I feel like you are still just putting out so much stuff. And I feel like you've done some really cool things. Like I really enjoyed the Parks map.
Oh, yeah.
Put up a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Time has no meaning anymore. But why don't you talk a little bit just about like how you're trying to approach coverage currently?
Right. Yeah. So it was we had a couple of days of trying to figure out, like, because we literally talked about, like, do we just want to press pause? Because literally it's like we make hamburgers and now hamburger buns and ground beef are no longer available for who knows how long. So it's like, do we really want to get into selling tacos or spaghetti or whatever else? And, but that said, we figured one thing is like people that do tune into our stuff, it's all about escapism, which I appreciate because so much of what I tune into is for escapism. I love listening to all sorts of podcasts and things like that. And I figure people need escapism more now than ever. So it's like, well, okay, what can we do with that? And then the other thing was, in general, it felt like, well, let's try to use the time to get better at things that we either aren't good at and or don't like, you know? So things like that was already kind of a goal of the years. Like, I don't like doing, Carmel and I, neither of us like doing vlogs. We don't like doing YouTube Live. We don't like Zoom. We don't like a lot of these things. And it's like, well, maybe we should work on these things because they're obviously anything you don't like, you're weak at, you know? So what if we use this time? And we were already kind of coming into it, ironically, doing more of that, like our videos, and even pictures a lot more. We would try to use some of that stuff. So it's like, okay, what if we kind of focus in on that? I heard John Centris from Word Balloon had talked about like trying to be like Bob Hope during World War II was his perspective of like, you know what, everything's crazy. Let's just I'm just going to try and put out shows. I'm just going to try and put out, and it's like, okay, let's try to kind of do something like that. So the four big things kind of that one, actually I had kind of the park views, as you said, is we set that up a few years ago and we kind of archived it, but it's basically interactive maps to go to like Disneyland or Knott's and you click on like the store and you can see what the store was in 2015, what merchandise was there, what the menu was like. Ride the rides, POV videos, things like that. We have been doing a weekly YouTube live show, which was like, I never thought we would do that, but we felt like it was something we should do. And then coming into all of this, a friend of ours, so he's like the historian on like Halloween haunt stuff for not Scary Farm specifically. He literally wrote the history book on it. Like back in the day, we stood in line to get his autograph at a book signing, and we won a contest to do a tour with him. And over the years, we've become friends, and he was reaching out, trying to ask for ideas to give people distractions. And we were thinking of doing something. So it's like, well, what if we just team up and do these shows every week? So we've done 3 of them so far. We do them every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, and we have a bunch more going forward. Some of them not, some of them not, and things like that. We started a new YouTube series of story time where we take stories from old. So like the first one we did was back in, what was it, 09 or something like that, when I was in a wheelchair at San Diego Comic-Con and Carmel won Jon Favreau's signing for Iron Man 2. And so we kind of told the story, so some pictures with it, things like that. We'll have one going up next week of Jim Lee when we got a sketch from him and different things. Carrie Fisher asking us for our Comic-Con Hasbro bag, things like that, and a place to kind of capture those. Podcasts we've been doing, we've tried to up production to 3 a week. So we've put out 10 podcasts in 30 days, but it is different because it's like comic talk or streaming talk.
Yeah.
Or, we just did one, listening in at what Todd said, we did one kind of in that vein last week, which is just all about like, what do we see happening with conventions and parks going forward? And we had a few different convention people reach out that said, yeah, these are, you know, things that we're thinking about. And then the time hops is taking stuff from, you know, like we have video of Lee Merriweather, one of the original Catwoman from, you know, Batman 66, meeting cosplay Catwomen at, you know, WonderCon. So it's just like a little feel good, quick little post thing on social. So, and yeah, we have to put a lot more thought into things now, because normally it's more organic and like, boom, we're out and this is happening.
Right. It's like what's happening right now, whereas now it's
exactly. It's more of like, we literally have like a staff meeting every Sunday to like kind of like plot things out, which is not stuff we normally do. So
right.
Crazy.
So I know that you are missing cons and parks quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And but is there something that you're not missing about them?
You know, no, I miss it all. I really miss it all. And it's funny because like prior to this all happening, so there's a picture of some friends and I took at D23 Expo last year. And D23 Expo, as you know, James, is messy, like really, really messy. And so we were locked in the dungeon across the street for like hours waiting to get into the convention. And a friend and I are across the way talking, and you can see like we're really angry and we're just like our hands are in the air and like, why are they not letting us in? And so a friend had taken that. But I told them back then, this is before this all happened, I said, you know, like on a regular day with regular world problems, bills and work stress, I'd cut off my arm to go back there and be in that frustrating situation. You know, like it's still so, even though it was frustrating.
Little did you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's frustrating relative to, you know, having fun stuff. But in general, like we wouldn't go to these things despite the frustrations with some of them.
Right.
So no, you know, I kept thinking about that. Like, is there anything I don't miss? But it's like, I know I really do miss it. I really do miss it all.
Man, I'm like, I miss some of it. I miss a lot of it.
Right. No, and I know how a lot of people are. And that's what I think that's one of the things that's interesting this time with everything is like, you know, in general, when people ask me, like, I feel like this is an era where like every email I send out at work, everything is like, I hope you're doing well relative to the situations going on. Like, it's not anymore of like, I hope you're doing well, you know, and everything. And so these times, obviously, everybody's in such a different place and it hits everybody in different ways. And so some things, you know, so this is a thing that hits me harder, but something else maybe not as much, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you have like, let's say all of this was fixed tomorrow magically. Like, what is the first thing that you would do?
The first thing I would do is go wherever was open. I mean, really, wherever what we normally would do. So if it was, you know, the first thing, it's probably more likely that a place like, you know, Disney's going to open before, you know, whatever convention or something like that, if I had to guess. So that would be the first thing, definitely getting there. I think the thing that I most miss or want to do just in general is just getting back to being able to press on the gas and just go, you know, because as you guys know, like I'm not a homebody. I'm not, I mean, I spend more hours at home now in a day with work from home than I would before outside of sleeping in a week easily. So yeah, I really just look forward to getting on the floor or in the park and just moving and looking and seeing what's going on.
You are the single, like, hardest working person that I think any of us know. I'm speaking for all of us, but I think we would all agree.
Yes, Rolling Stones over there.
I mean, I feel like I work my butt off in June and July, but I'm like, you go at that pace like year round, and I just don't know how you do it. So I'm sure that you're like crawling at the walls right now. So
yeah, it's weird because back when I was in the wheelchair, I spent like, I don't know, 9 months in cast, a wheelchair, stuff like that. And so that was before Parks and Cons though. So that wasn't quite as foreign, but I did develop a system, and it's like, there's things like, even now it's like every day I work on Parks and Cons, every day I work on work, every day I take a shower, every day. Like I just have to have these like patterns, but it's really weird being tethered to, you know, a mile radius and just walking the dogs.
No, I get it. Well, I for one, I'm super proud of you. Like, I think it's awesome that you're continuing to put out like such great content even right now.
Thank you.
So good job.
Thank you. We're trying.
And I think we wanted to ask just WonderCon specifically, looking back, is there anything that sticks out at you of an amazing moment that you had at a WonderCon in past years?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think so. As I was kind of sorting through the memories, I think the number one, and for people there, I think is
Yes, show and
back
tell. Yes.
in 2013. I won the wristband to the DC booth for a new show that was coming out called Arrow. And so at the time, or maybe Arrow, no, I think Arrow, it was the end of its first season or something like that. But anyway, it was in its infancy, and it was like, oh, cool, you know, and it was a cast signing. And so it was nowhere there wasn't the whole CW, you know, hero universe and things like that. And so got the poster and got it signed. And then that led to lots of fun stuff of finding out, like John Barrowman, for example, having him, he wasn't at WonderCon, but then it gave me a reason at Phoenix Comic Con to like hunt him down and get his autograph there, things like that. And then we got the Flash one we started and we haven't finished that. And then Carmel won Legends of Tomorrow for Comic-Con one year. So we have a few of these like CW, DC posters, and it all started with that one. So that one's definitely like a special memory of like, it's so random for us to have won or gotten the wristband and then get the signing and then get it all signed up and kind of moving from there. So definitely 2013.
So you are obviously not a small artist, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because we've been asking everybody else. How important do you think it is, as long as you're financially able to support small artists and vendors in this time?
Oh, yeah. So, you know, hearing Todd talk, like literally, like my eyes started to fill with tears, because it's like, that's what, as soon as this all hit, that was the thing. As much as I hate being caged up in here, that has been the thing. Because we also, a lot of the park stuff we do, we have a lot of friends that work in entertainment. And it just feels like every third or fourth person we know is like out of work or about to be out of work or totally bankrupt or anything. So yeah, I mean, we from comic shops, like we're just like finding different comic shops across like California and just ordering a couple things from them. And it's not much, but it's like, okay, here's our $20 for these back issues that I know are not going to sell otherwise. It's so critical. And again, a lot of people can't, you know, and so if you can't, you can't, and it just is what it is. But if there's any way to support the artists, you know, any of these small businesses, it's just so ridiculously critical right now. Because when we did that changing landscape, the thing that Carmel and I talked a lot about is just, no matter what happens, even if things open up tomorrow, things aren't going to look the same, particularly at conventions. They're going to look different. And part of that difference is a lot of the conventions I know Carmel and I love just don't exist anymore. They're already done. They missed that one window, and it's not going to happen. And then even if they do exist or they get new funding or they come back, a lot of the exhibitors that we love and the artists that we love won't be able to be there. So a lot of things are on the brink of disaster. So if anybody's able to help anything that you care about, and that even extends to, you know, your local, you know, family-owned business or whatever, you know, the little restaurant. I mean, I think right now is the time to really, any pennies we have, I know at least Carmel and I are trying, any pennies we have to give to these different places that we are hoping survive and come out the other side of this thing.
Yep, we're doing,
Yeah,
I'm doing the same thing. Go ahead.
I actually listened to the that podcast this week, and I would suggest anyone who wants some positive thoughts about what may happen, even though you do go into like some of the things, like you said, the problems that may happen with the changing landscape. Right. You still are very positive about things are going to come back at some point.
Yes.
And even if things change slightly, the places like the parks and the conventions, they will still be what you expect them to be.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to be, they may be slightly different, like I said, as some vendors may change, some formats may change, but it's still going to be a place where you can gather and you can hang out with all of your friends. You can see the friends, you know, your once a year friends that you can see and all that kind of thing. I didn't really have a question. I listened to the whole thing and like you basically said it all. So go listen to that one. It's episode 502, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No, thank you. And that was something that like we've been talking about for a while of how to kind of articulate, because I mean, for Carmel and I, it's like we're constantly talking about all that stuff. And it's like, okay, well, how do we articulate this in a way that's positive, but also thoughtful and not, you know, pie in the sky that all of a sudden everything's going to, you know, be perfect or whatever. But the thing that I keep coming back to, which I know we talked about in that show, is just that, like, as much as any of this matters to us, it all matters so much more to someone else who's paying their mortgage off of it, you know, or rent or whatever. So as much as I want to get back to Disneyland, it's nowhere near as much as the people that are going to be furloughed and, you know, things like that. And obviously, as much as I want Comic-Con, if Comic-Con were not to happen, I mean, I'll be fine. We'll pivot. We'll cover this. So I'll miss it as like, it was a fun thing to do, and I hate missing it, but it won't like put me out of business, or it won't alter or that, you know. So yeah, these small businesses need so much support, and hopefully things get better before they get much worse. And hopefully these, you know, entrepreneurs are able to find ways, and artists to, you know, navigate these waters.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've said this all day, but I mean, that's literally the only reason we're doing this podcast right now. Like, yeah, it's sad that WonderCon is not happening for the attendees. And thank you all to everybody who's listening right now. But mostly we're doing this to support the artists, because they're the ones who need the money. So go buy some cool stuff. There's all kinds. I mean, we've talked about it again. We have a million links up on our Twitter or our site, but like, go buy some stuff if you've got the money. Like, support these people. They do amazing work. So
yeah, definitely, 100%.
Here.
Well, sorry about that, Sean.
No.
I know I said we'd keep this very upbeat.
No, that's good. No. I mean, Todd brought up so many good points, and it is, I mean, and that's the thing I think with everything now. I know we find that with the podcast is we're like, okay, because we want to keep it optimistic, and we're gonna, but you always come back. You can't totally ignore everything obviously going on, and things just kind of have there's a certain gravity to things. Like I said, I mean, everybody you come across, like if you ask them, oh, how are you doing? It's like, well, unless you're just going to give the obligatory, like, I'm great, you know. It's like there's more. Everybody has a different weight, whether it's worry about finances, supplies, sickness, etc. There's so much so much scare right now, and obviously social media helps add a lot of gasoline to that fire as well. So yeah, it's very tough time. So the more though we can tune into things like this to be able to see some of these people, because at the end of the day, it's so cool that somebody like Todd or any of these artists are creating stuff. They're not letting the art die. They're not throwing in the towel. They're fighting, you know, and the fighting is very motivational to me, and hopefully it is to a lot of people, to want to support them, to help them come out the other side of this in a good spot.
Yeah, because that is one of the things that really shines during times of during hard times is art.
Yeah,
art is something that people turn to, and art and entertainment, and so whatever we can do to make sure that that is brought to the front, so people can have that escape or have something nice that during something that's tough to go through, then we want to do whatever we can to help that. And yeah, I mean, I have nothing artistic in my body whatsoever.
No, zero.
So seeing the people that are able to do this and to just bring things out that don't exist, and then they do, it's just so amazing to see.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that there are people that can do that.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, you know, as we all adapt, that there's more ways to, because like, I think it's a big morale, like there's a big morale hit when you have, like, you know, there wasn't a new comic book day for the first time in any of our lives of living on this earth, you know, a few weeks ago. And so the idea of like comics not coming out is really jarring, like that art form just kind of being locked up in a bottle right now as Diamond and everybody's kind of figuring out what they're doing. I know the LA Times did an article on just what a morale hit it is for the Disney parks to be closed, even for people that don't care about Disney. There's just something communicated there. So hopefully, you know, outside of just everything getting better, hopefully also we find ways to connect to these artists, to shine. You know, obviously social media does grant that ability to see, you know, the work or something like what Todd's doing of selling the stuff online or things like that.
Well, before we get to a reader question, I would like to change this to a slightly more positive note.
Yeah.
What kind of things right now in your life like are making you happy, or that you are finding positivity in, like whether that's TV, reading comics, what?
Yeah, podcasts for sure. Like I listen to something like almost 40 different podcasts. So not that they all come out as regularly as others, but that's helped a lot. I continue to listen to those all the time. Reading comics, you know, obviously now it's easier to get caught up on things when our entertainment is not there. You know, we're not leaving the house as much. walking our dog is like a huge thing, because it's like now that's like the going out is like we're taking walks. And I mean, we always would walk twice a day, but now those twice a day are a lot longer walks and to different places, because it's like, well, this is the entire night's entertainment there. And obviously we have a long list of movies, TV, streaming that we're making our way through that are watches or rewatches. So really all of those almost are kind of just this constant cycle. Every day is at least a little bit or a lot in some cases of each of those.
And I know you mentioned that you're doing, like, you have a schedule to make sure that you can, that you don't like, to keep you going, to keep you up into it. So what kind of things are you making sure you do every day?
Good. Yeah. So I schedule literally every hour of every day in general. And I do that now. It's even more important now because I can find myself kind of like, if I don't keep to the schedule, I start feeling myself getting more depressed or sad or just getting in my own head and not. So I try to kind of be moving every hour or two, depending on what the day is and stuff. But walks are a big part of it for sure. I mean, it's kind of this how I start and end each day is like long walks if possible with the dog. Regular work, as much as I wish that wasn't something I had to worry about, but that's a big part of every day. Parks and Con stuff, a few hours every day. Chores, whatever it is, organizing things, cleaning things, scrubbing things, whatever. And then entertainment. And usually it's like we try to watch a movie each night now. Not that it's been every single night, but I think we've watched like 25 movies in the 29 days we've been locked down.
Oh,
so
wow, that is a lot.
yeah, so we try to just, I have this list of like hundreds of movies that over the years, it's like, well, at some point we need to see that. And some of them I don't even remember why we need to see them, but they came up. So we're kind of making our way through that list too. So, but yeah, it just helps me to know, like at 11 a.m. I'm supposed to be doing this, at 12 p.m. I'm supposed to be doing this, at 2 p.m. or whatever it is. And obviously I can move things around and stuff. But that's helped a lot, just having the schedule. And that was something when I had the surgeries and was kind of stuck in bed for those months. At first, I really struggled with, like, it was like a real blow of just like, I'm just kind of bed bound. And then I learned, like, okay, I have to make, like, it's funny because like I don't normally make my bed in regular life, but during times like this, I make my bed every day because it's just a part of like normalcy and a regiment that helps my brain kind of feel like, okay, I did something and be able to move on.
So what's your favorite of the new movies you've watched so far?
Oh, wow. You know what? I think Carmel and I laughed the most, which that's one of the things that's been interesting with the movie side of things, is because there's like a lot of movies on there are horror or are of dark tone. And a lot of them were like, well, I don't know if I feel like watching that right now. I feel like watching something fun, So I think maybe the thing we had the most fun with, both of us, was Hunt for the Wilder People, an older Taika Waititi film.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's good.
I love that so much. Yeah, Carmel was laughing. I was laughing. It was just, it was so good. So immediately I was like telling my mom, I'm like, okay, you need to watch this. And, other people that I know don't necessarily know who Taika Waititi is or care about that type of thing. I was like, oh, this is just such a fun, like, feel good, outside of the little animal scene somewhere in the middle of it that I was like, why is this got to be there? And we're both like, why is this negative animal like all of a sudden Fox and the Hound for a second? But outside of that, it's just all like love and positivity and a lot of fun. So I'd say that's probably the top of my list.
And you guys recommended Ready or Not, and I watched that, and that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
Really good.
That was what you were talking about. I was like, well, I got to find it now.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was shocked, Sean, that it took you that long to see it. I was like, I felt like that was like right up your alley.
It is. And, they had an interactive experience to promote the movie at one of the conventions we were at last year. And we weren't able to get in there because we were so busy. So we never made it in there. And then the movie was out. And I think that was kind of in like the busy build season of Haunt stuff. And it kept being like, okay, let's see it next week. And it didn't happen. And it just kind of, So yeah, that was really, really good. That was a lot of fun.
Literally the most fun I've had at the movies in like 2 years.
Yeah, definitely great stuff there. So.
Okay. You want to ask reader questions, James?
Sure, I'll ask the one that we have on there so far. Night Bodega asks, will your tolerance for driving to places and walking through all the parks be something you need to build back up?
So that's interesting you ask that, because I've told Carmel that's like, there's a lot of concerns I have about this time on the bigger picture, which is what we've talked about. On the more selfish small picture, there are things like that we've talked about. It's like, I'm afraid that maybe I'll decide I don't need to do that anymore, or I'm afraid our dogs and cats are going to get so hooked to us being here that we're going to feel too guilty to ever leave the house, or things like that. So I hope not, but I have thought about that as a concern. I don't think it'll be as much about tolerance as it will be like hitting the switch and deciding like, okay, we're open and let's go. And I know that's another part of all this is like, we all, I think, pretty much figure once things open up, it's not going to be a magic wand open up. It's going to be layered. It's going to be in phases. And I already know, like, things are going to open up, and when things open up and we're told we're allowed to go out and everything, then we'll be out there and we'll cover it. And I know there's going to be some people that are going to be locked in their house for another year saying no one should be leaving their house. And so I already know, like, that's just going to be part of that landscape. It's going to be kind of a little negativity that we're not used to. So, in cases like that, it is what it is. But I think it'll be interesting to see how people kind of adapt to the opening up and what the layers are to it, and what the safety what safety is involved in all those layers.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all curious to see how all of that happens, because no one knows right now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I keep looking at what other countries are doing, what's going on in, whatever, Shanghai, and how, the parks are layering the openings or things like that, or, it's fascinating to think what that may be. So, I'm really curious what all of that will look like. But I know for us, we've kind of decided just once things are open, we're pressing the gas and just going all out, and it is what it is. And so it's very weird, obviously, because right now we're in a place where, always pressing the gas and going for it has always been a good thing. And right now, like, if we just went out wherever, it's like, oh, you're a terrible person, you're trying to kill my grandmother. And it's like, whoa, we're not trying to do that. So once things are open, I know that there's going to be a section of the world, or of our, pop culture even, that's going to be like, oh, I can't believe you had that convention. Nobody should be covering it either. And so, but we've just,
even our ads right now, like, I love you guys, our readers, but some of you I love less.
Yeah. And I'm really fast with mute and block in everything on social media, because to me, this is the fun. We're trying to bring escapism. People don't come to Parks and Cons, at least for any political commentary or things like that. So if you don't want to see us do a park hop, it's definitely the wrong site or whatever to follow. So, but it's something we've talked about, because I know that that's going to be probably part of that, changing back, is there's going to be groups that feel that this shouldn't be open or that shouldn't be open or whatever, even though it is open. And so we'll see.
It'll be interesting for a while.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, well, I think that about does it, right?
No, we're at 3:00.
We made it to
We
3 hours.
Wow.
We always appreciate the positivity coming from Parks and Cons. So
Oh,
thank you very much.
Yes.
It's so good seeing you all.
I know. If we can't see you in person.
Yes, that's the thing. It's sad. Yeah, like, we're all supposed to be having a hug at WonderCon, so that's sad. But I'm really glad to see all of you. You all look great.
Yes. So why don't you go and tell everybody where they can find you and Parks and Cons online?
So parksandcons.com is our website, and that's a hub for everything. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of them Parks and Cons as well. And then podcasts, I think we're just about anywhere you can pick up a podcast, and also Parks and Cons. So it's just Parks and Cons across the board.
All right.
Well,
thank you for coming on, Sean.
Thank you guys. Congrats on the big 3 hours.
Sean.
Thank you. Hi to the puppy.
We'll see you later.
Bye. Take care.
Bye, Sean. Okay, Kim, real quick, do you want to mention a giveaway that you were doing?
Yes, so I've got this Comic-Con ball cap. Here's a little hint. Giving it away to anyone watching right now. Please, what you need to do is tweet at me at Outside Comic-Con what ball team gave that away last season. So the first one to do that, I'll be in touch, and I will ship that out next week. And then I've got another identical hat. I'm doing a giveaway on my Instagram, Outside Comic-Con, this week as well. Just little things to
Awesome.
make it fun.
So that's tweet outside Comic-Con with which team gave
Baseball
that
team.
away last year.
I mean,
It
It's
shouldn't
not
be that hard of a
fun.
question.
It's not that hard, but
Not a trick
let's
question.
just say the full team name, right?
Yep. Might just a little easy up there, but I'll grab that first one that I see and should get it shipped out to you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so as of right now, the official 2020 season of SDConCast will be kicking off the first week of May. And then every week until Comic-Con, if it's happening. If it's not, we'll do something special like this for Comic-Con, of course. But
And I just want to say, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Like, we had fun doing it. I feel like we got to talk to a whole lot of different people. I personally was a little nervous about having this many guests on, but I feel like it went pretty well. So
it
hopefully
went
you guys
really well.
So hopefully you guys feel the same.
I almost had a heart attack when we started because it wasn't working to start. But once we got past that, everything worked smooth. So
all of our guests were on time. I'm like, this is technically the best podcast we've ever had.
yes. So thank you to all of our guests. Thank you so much for coming on, spending your Saturday afternoon with us. Thank you to Robert and Aaron and Kim. Thank you for coming on and spending an hour with us through this. Thank you to Carrie for staying with me for the 3 hours and allowing me to be the dumb one who left every 15 minutes and changed my shirt.
No,
you guys are rock stars, so thank you.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James, because I'm pretty sure I was the one who was like, why don't we make this like a massive podcast and get a bunch of people on? So thank you for going with my crazy idea yet again. I appreciate it. And again, if anybody wants to do something fun today, we still have the scavenger hunt. I did give away a $100 Amazon gift this morning, but we have a ton of other really cool gifts, prizes that we're giving away, including a Disney set from Toynick, which I think, quite frankly, all of us want.
Everybody wants it.
Cute.
It's adorable shit. Like, they sent me the photos for that, and I was like, oh, really? Cool.
And by the way, that's as if you got the Amazon gift card and then bought that set, because that's $100 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We're giving away that amazing Disney dining set from Toynick. We're giving away a Harry Potter bookend from Toynick. Todd is giving away, I think, 3 more prize packs. And then I'm gonna give away a couple different button packs from some of our old retired buttons that we've done over the years, and I'll ship those out to you. Yeah, so that'll be fun. But yeah, so we're gonna give those away. I'm gonna let everybody enter through the end of today, and then tomorrow we'll just pick a couple winners at random. So even if you missed out on like the grand prize this morning, like, you can still enter right now. You could still win stuff. Go for it.
There you go. Also, thank you to Beth, who will be getting this up onto the podcast stream probably tomorrow sometime, and for not looking at me too weird every time I got up and changed my shirt. And I'd like to say that we do have a Patreon, and to all of our patrons, thank you so much for supporting us. I would like to say, however, that we should not be your first choice. If you're going to support someone right now, it's not something that is supporting us in the way that it's whether or not we eat today. For some of these artists that you can support, that is the choice. So please go support the artists and vendors first. And then sometime, if you look and you have an extra $1, $2, $5, whatever that you would like to send to us to help pay for the cost of running the site, then please do so. But again, we should be like choice number 18 at this point.
No, I mean, I completely agree. Like, thank you so much to everybody who does support. Like, you truly do like help pay for our hosting. But like, we can cover our hosting right now. Like, go put your money towards artists or a small vendor, or I mean, honestly, like even a small local restaurant, like get takeout from them. Like, there's so many things we could do right now to support small people who need it.
And we'll reiterate that we have the Artist Alley list up on our site with store and social media links for virtually every person who or company who is going to be in Artist Alley. Comic-Con has started putting up links for anyone who put them in there and descriptions about what's going on all of their exhibitor pages. So there's links there, and you can also search the WonderCon online hashtag, and a lot of people are doing sales and specials and things that they would have brought to WonderCon are on sale now. So there's all kinds of ways you can support all of the people who would be making a living this weekend, providing you with something fun to take home.
Yeah, or like Brianna said, which honestly was something that I had not even necessarily considered. But right now, like if you have a favorite artist, like go support them on Patreon. Like go look up and see if they have one. So this is a great time to do that. So again, our main takeaway is we miss you guys, and we will see you at some point, we promise. But please go and support the people who really need it right now. Like it's so critical. If you have the funds to do so, please do so. And if you don't have the funds to do so, that's okay. Share the stuff.
Yeah, share it where you know people are going to see it. Social media, mention it, take some pictures of something. If you bought an artist from an artist in the past and say, look at this awesome piece I bought, you should go support them. Any way that you can think of to share and to support. So let's wrap this up. Again, thank you to Robert. He is at Legion of Sand and legionofsand.com. Thank you to Aaron, who's at Bavarian Aaron on Twitter. Kim, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am Outside Comic-Con on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And Carrie, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me at Carrie Dixon. James, where can we find more of your work?
I am everywhere online at Dan Riegel, and you can also check out geekshotphoto.com for photography links and social media links for Beth and I.
Awesome.
We're on iTunes. If you would like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or search SDConCast. If you like what you heard so far, please send us get us a review on whatever podcast site you're listening to us. We're on Stitcher Radio. Link is in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you all for watching / listening, and everybody.
Especially for 3 hours.
For 3 hours. Thank you all. So yeah, we really need it this time. Everybody, go get some shawarma.